Super nice. Very efficace. It is that final crucial day of preliminaries in the Julius Baer Generation Cup. For players like Vasily Ivanchuk and Levon Aronian, it's going to take some winning today for them to qualify for the quarterfinals. And something else we will be paying a lot of attention to is Hans Niemann. First of all, will he qualify for the knockout stage? And second of all, will he face Magnus Carlsen in that quarterfinal? And what will then happen? A lot of drama coming up, you guys. So welcome to the Julius Baer Generation Cup.
This move I have never seen before.
It's now or never for Giri.
Unbelievable how he finds that move.
We've got to call that Prague style.
They're playing like stockfish.
But he's gone for it.
White hanging on, and he's dropped a bishop.
Dropped his bishop.
Handsome mistake.
This is so difficult.
Whoa! Oh!
No way!
Hello! That is the kind of move that I like to see.
Magnus Carlsen on top of the table. Is safe to qualify for the knockout stage? The big question for him is who will he face in the quarterfinals? It is not unlikely that it will be Hans Niemann. And David, do you think Magnus will be paying attention to that today?
Yeah, I think they're both going to have an eye on each other, and it's all about those standings at the end of the day, those top 8. If Magnus finishes 1, Niemann finishes 8, that's it. That's the quarterfinal matchup. It's going to be fascinating to see how today moves and shakes up those standings.
Yeah, it's not very common in sports, Simon, that you sort of try to play on results. But do you think that situation could occur today? Magnus, for example, losing on purpose so that he doesn't end up on top to face Niemann? I mean, there's many scenarios.
Yeah, I can't really remember Magnus ever losing on purpose. Hang on a minute, actually, yeah. But it's really just a strange situation, isn't it? I mean, I expect, as Magnus has shown in all his other games, he's going for it. And he's playing great chess. It's a joy to watch him. So I hope it doesn't affect the chess. I hope he just keeps winning. And we'll just have to wait and see, won't we, really? Yeah. So drama again. Drama again.
And Hans Niemann is around that crucial 8th place. Anish Giri is there. We have Vasily Ivanchuk, Levon Aronian, many players fighting to qualify. So what do you expect from today, Jovanka?
It's going to be a decisive day of chess. You know, a lot of people needing to win. I mean, you mentioned Levon Aronian, Anish Giri. He's not safe. He is running through the young gauntlet of Kima, Eric Geisy, and more to come. I know, it's going to be so exciting.
Yeah. Who knows who will qualify? 3 rounds of chess today to decide which 8 players go through to the knockout stage. On day 3 of the preliminaries yesterday, the battle between the generations continued.
Look at the bar.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow. Let's get it in.
Wow, I have only 17 moves.
That's a killer.
I think he might resign.
Really? Already?
Well, I think he might be losing that knight, actually, as well. I mean, the knight has nowhere... I can't see how you save that knight.
He's been on fire. And here, winning against one of the legends in chess, Vasily Ivanchuk. What a game in only 25 moves.
The white knight is actually very well placed. It can grab the black bishop, the black rook. So it might be a material advantage as well. But this move, I felt, going for that black king.
That check looks horrible.
Is it already going to...
Yeah, that's it.
Checkmate in a couple of moves.
Checkmate coming up.
Aronian resigns.
He crushed him.
Wow.
Didn't even get a chance.
Wow, 21 moves. This only lasted 11 minutes. Hans Niemann takes 3 very important points.
In fact, the only way to draw it is actually to capture that pawn.
Oh, he's blundered into checkmate in one move, Wojciech.
Oh, no.
How did he fall for that?
That was the only real trick in the position. He just fell for a back rank checkmate, even deep in the endgame.
I think Anish has lost control a little bit because he's blundered back the pawn. You know, he was talking about the pieces, the organs being in good shape.
Yep.
You gotta watch out for those tactical tricks.
And has he allowed it? He's allowed it. Wow.
Second blunder.
Same tactic. Same tactic.
Incredible.
The queen moved. Rook takes knight.
Look at it.
If it's captured, this ends in checkmate. Check.
He's blundered twice in this game, Anish.
Twice within a space of 4 moves. There we go. Anish shakes his head and clicks that resign button.
It's been up and down for players like Anish Giri and Levon Aronian. Anish is currently in that crucial 8th place with 16 points. Levon Aronian, he has 2 points less, 14 points. So, David, what will it take from Anish and Levon today? We know they have it in them.
Yeah, for Anish, his fate is still in his hands. He's just inside the top 8 right now. He needs to steady the ship, maybe get a win or 2 if he can. For Levon Aronian, though, it's that critical situation. He needs to win every single game to stand a chance. And he has to hope that some of his rivals slip up.
One of the legends in chess, Ivanchuk, he is only 1 point away from top 8. You are in the Ivanchuk fan club. Simon, what do you hope to see from him today?
Well, I hope to see he qualifies. As simple as that, really. I mean, Ivanchuk is a legend among legends, really, and he's just such a character. His mannerisms, the way he plays, his history in chess. So, come on, Chucky. I am going to be biased, and I'm going to be cheering for him today, definitely. Yeah.
On top of the table, Magnus Carlsen, 25 points, which includes that loss against Hans Niemann. So, what does that tell us about the way Magnus has been playing this tournament, David?
Magnus is in good shape, physically, mentally, it seems, and maybe he just has a point to prove. Maybe that's giving him that extra edge. He seems to be just on fire right now, if we forget about that one game. And, yeah, it seems like he's brushed off all the drama to be able to focus on the chess.
Yeah, and Jovanka, of course. Arjun Erigaisi, the 19-year-old in 2nd place. How impressed have you been?
I've been incredibly impressed. You know, he has managed to whip up tactical storms on the board. We saw him demolish the Ukrainian veteran Vatil and Ivanchuk yesterday. He's been playing so well, so impressively. I'm blown away by his talent.
Yeah, he has been fantastic, and he's going to qualify. Arjun Erigaisi. We are joined now by the guy who does all the stats in the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour, Ty Prue Zimmerman. Nice to see you again. Good morning.
Good morning.
So it's a crucial day again, Ty. We looked at the players on top of the table. Magnus, Arjun, are those the only one who are 100% safe to qualify?
Yes. Liam Lier at 20 points is, if he lost all 3 games today, still 50-50 to qualify, but he needs some points to really clinch anything. And he's in 3rd.
Yeah, exactly. So these are the projected preliminary results. As you mentioned, Liam Lier, 99%. That looks very good. Pragnananda also above 90, same as Jan-Krzysztof Duda. But who basically has to win, if not all their games, that most of their games today, Ty, to be able to qualify?
Well, everyone else after that top 5. To get in for sure is going to take 21 to 22 points is where you start clinching spots. Getting to 20, you've got a chance, but really to get to 21 or 22 needs multiple wins for basically everyone else, because we've got that huge group jumped at 14 to 16 points right now. So all of them need wins.
Yeah, it is.
And the question is who gets them.
Yeah, It's super tight, and I think many people in the chess world are hoping Vasily Ivanchuk will be one of the players in the quarterfinals. What will it take for him?
Probably 2 wins. He could get to 20 points if he had a win and 2 draws, but his draw rate has been very low in this tournament, so that seems less likely. And even there, 20 points again is kind of a coin flip. But if he wins twice, 2 out of 3, that should get him in most scenarios.
And right behind him on the projected preliminary result, Levon Aronian is a 3 wins it will take for him.
2 wins and some luck, right? 2 wins gets him to that 20-point mark where it's 50-50. So either 2 wins plus another third result. It doesn't have to be a third win, but 2 wins and a draw, or 2 wins, a loss, and things go the right way, and he gets the right side of that coin flip.
Now, the youngest player in the tournament, only 15 years old, Christopher Yu, he's currently right outside top 8. I think it was a 10% chance for him there. What chances do you give him? Is it only 10% for him to qualify?
Yeah, so the issue there is that he plays Magnus in the first game today, and that's a very, very difficult game, obviously. So the model essentially, he, like everyone else in that group, needs 2 wins, and the model basically says he only has 2 chances at it. Not technically true, and if he upsets Magnus in the first round, that will skyrocket immediately. But that's where those odds are so low right now, as the model is very pessimistic about his first game.
But even being in this situation, having a chance to qualify, he is the lowest rated player by far in the tournament. So what is his performance rating in this tournament?
His performance rating is 2684 so far.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been absolutely spectacular considering lowest rated and youngest player in the field.
That is very cool.
He's in contention.
Absolutely, very cool. Now, of course, Ty, there is one big question that everyone is wondering. What are the chances we will have a quarterfinal between Magnus Carlsen and Hans Niemann?
Right now, the model says 14.7%. Niemann is the single most likely potential opponent, but right now Magnus could play almost anyone. So we'll see how this shakes out as some of those spots get locked up. A lot of the uncertainty here is we don't know if Magnus is going to finish 1 or 2. So you can play him by finishing 7 or 8, depending on the scenario. So a lot of people still in there as possible opponents, but Hans is currently the most likely individual possibility.
Wow, that's interesting. Ty, thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you again after the next round.
Absolutely. See you then.
See you then. And of course, if Magnus finishes first and Hans finishes in 4th or 5th place, that means it's a potential for the 2 of them to meet in the semi-finals. Magnus Carlsen will be paying attention to the table today. Let's take a look at the games coming up now in the first round of today, round 13. Vincent Keimer against Anish Giri in that crucial 8th place. Eric Icey in 2nd place, playing Wojtacek, who is fighting to qualify. Adiban and Gelfand, they are unfortunately knocked out, but they face each other in a cool game in round 13. Liemle against Jan-Krzysztof Duda. Navarra against Ivanchuk, both of them right outside top 8, crucial game. Niemann starts off against Ivan Saric. Levon Aronian against the great Pragnananda. Levon, remember, he needs to win his games today. But we will follow the first game between Magnus Carlsen and Christopher Yu, world number 1, against the youngest player in the tournament. What do you expect from this one, David?
It's hard to say, really. Magnus is obviously the big favourite, but Christopher Yu, full of surprises, probably the most energetic player out of everyone that's so far this tournament, and he is fearless. So Magnus, he struggled a bit against the kids in the past. There is a chance for Christopher Yu if he can bring 100%, if he can bring his best form.
Yeah. These are the head-to-head scores between them. Magnus Carlsen, world number 1 in classical chess. Christopher Yu, world number 341. He is only 15 years old. Magnus Carlsen is more than twice his age. What a sensation it would be if Christopher Yu beat Magnus Carlsen in this game. There will be 3 rounds of chess today to decide the 8 players that goes through to the knockout stage. We will start out with this game between Magnus and Christopher. Round 14 starting at 7 o'clock CET. And round 15, the final round in the preliminaries, starting at 8 o'clock CET. So stay with us, you guys, because it's going to be a critical day of chess. 16 players still with us, sitting in their homes all over the world. Christopher Yu, far, far west in the US. It's early in the morning for him, playing Magnus Carlsen, 6 o'clock in Oslo. So, Jovanka, what should be Christopher Yu's plan? In this game, we know that Magnus effect.
Yeah, definitely. He must not be like a deer in the lights. He needs to just play with composure and just play to his biggest strength, which is his dynamism. And he's also incredibly quick on the clock. And when he is under time pressure, he actually plays better. Which is just a bit bizarre, but it's the way it works. His instincts are good. So he just needs to go out there, play some aggressive chess, put Magnus under some pressure and enjoy the game. It's going to be a lot of fun.
He is ready there, Christopher Yu, sitting in the US, waiting for Magnus Carlsen to log on. All the other players are ready, and right above Magnus Carlsen, Hans Niemann. He must be feeling the pressure. The whole world is following his games. Will he qualify for the knockout stage? He's going to have to stack up some points today, Hans, but chances are good he will be in the quarterfinals. And there we have Magnus Carlsen logging on. And if Christopher Yu wins this game, he will be the youngest player in history to win a game against Magnus Carlsen after he became world champion. Currently, that record is with Pragnananda. What kind of a player is Christopher Yu, David?
So Christopher, he's fearless. He likes to play on the front foot. He likes his tactics. Very well versed in the opening as well. He's kind of the typical player who's been brought up in the computer generation. He loves to calculate. He loves to be very direct if possible. And we've seen that in his games. That's why he's had a few defeats. Everyone does, but he's also had some great victories because he's not scared to go for the opponent. And here we see a queen's pawn opening. Up until this last move, it was following the game Niemann-Carlsen. Yes. I'm glad this one's still going now, but maybe Carlsen will show us why he was so scared of continuing that game as black.
Because this is good for white?
This is a very typical opening. It's now what we call the Nimzo Indian defense. And this last move is maybe the riskiest, one of the most provocative moves. It's asking black to capture the white knight with the dark squared bishop. There we go, there's been an exchange. But white gets these doubled pawns now on the c-file, and long term, that's pretty much an eternal weakness. In return, white gets the bishop pair, 2 bishops now. Black, in return, has a bishop and knight combo, and white will try to occupy the center. Magnus making a bit of a face there, maybe not expecting that move. Black had a bunch of options. Black could also have pushed a couple of different pawns. And this is the critical try. White is getting ready to build the ultimate pawn center. If white's pawn in front of his king can step forward 2 squares, he'll control the whole middle of the board. Very kind of double-edged play so far in the opening.
So one observation. Let's see if I've learned anything. Magnus with the white pieces. He's not going to castle queenside in this one.
Yes.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, that queenside is too open right now.
Yeah.
It takes a while, though, to castle the other way. He still needs to push a pawn, then move the white light squared bishop, then move the white knight, then he can castle. So he's still pretty much 3 or 4 moves away. Christopher Yu has to try and profit from that. In the meantime, okay, this knight move, it is known. There is a big threat. Black's queen was threatening to jump out with a nasty check, but Magnus is ready to block that with his knight if he needs to. The white knight looks a bit odd, but it can retreat to the f2 square, where it will sit nice and defensively.
Oof, g4.
Yeah. You've seen this before, Simon?
No, I mean, I was happy, obviously, to see black moving the f-pawn because it resembles my favourite opening, which is called the Dutch, but I haven't seen this g4 move, David. Is this still, or Jovanka in theory? I mean, I guess it is.
I think it is.
Still theory. Magnus Carlsen actually played this with the white pieces against Alexander Morozovich. That was a win for Magnus.
Okay.
I remember Michael Adams, the English #1, being on the black side of this position before as well. That was a few years ago. Essentially, white is just opening things up on the king side. So maybe Kaja, he won't be casting queenside or kingside white in this game. He's kind of pushed pawns on both flanks. But for now, the white king's safe-ish in the centre. He's just trying to open up the position for those white bishops.
Very interesting.
I will have a bet with you, Kaja.
Okay, nice.
I will bet, because you said he's not going to castle queenside, that he castles queenside.
Okay.
Because that's the way life works,
And so,
isn't it?
I can bet on either kingside or no castling?
You can go, if he castles queenside, I win. If he doesn't, you can do whatever else, you win.
I take the bet. I take the bet.
Okay.
What are you betting, guys?
Good night, Saturday.
A drink, I reckon.
drink.
Probably makes sense. First round. So, yeah. So we'll see now. So I need white to castle that king on the weaker side of the board. It doesn't look very likely, but as we've jinxed it, I kind of feel that he might do at some point. And very interesting position, though, right, this so far.
I mean, this looks like both players definitely want to take big risks to win. Very, very imbalanced, and that's what we call the commentator's curse, right? If we say one specific thing is not going to happen, it always happens.
That's why I bet on it. I just thought, it does look like he can't castle queenside. That's why he will. That's just the way it works in life, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks more likely now that might happen than 2-3 moves ago.
Yeah.
Maybe we can jump in.
I was going to say, there has been a game in the database against Sergei Volkin, against Max Fortune, as bad news for you, Simon, because if they follow that game, and judging by that rook move, the white king is destined to go queenside.
No, I win.
Simon.
I win.
That's good news for Simon.
Bad news for Kaja. So if the white king goes queenside, I win myself a nice cheeky beer.
Oh.
So.
But yeah, sorry, Kaja.
But that looks crazy.
And the bad thing, Kaja, is that Magnus's last move, moving the rook, means he definitely can't castle kingside. It's not legal anymore. So either the king is destined to stay in the centre, or it's going one way.
Well, what will you guys do? What looks like the best choice for you guys?
Probably castling queenside.
Oh, no!
It's changed so much. For example, here, the rook is lining up against the black king, so it would make sense for Christopher Yu at some point to just move his king into the corner. Then white, for example, could move his queen. I'm not sure the best square. And suddenly...
and we know what's happening next. Come on, Kingy. Get yourself over there. And
for example.
And I would like to clarify, like a beer in Norway is like the same as a house nearly anywhere else in the world. So it's really worth winning that bet, I feel.
I need to start saving.
Yeah.
No more food for me this week.
This white king is very open, but I guess it does have a lot of pawns in front to protect it. It could, for example, slide over and hide behind this pawn. Still looks very shaky, very weak over here. But, OK, Christopher Yu, he didn't go for that king move. He just pushed a pawn. Very sensible. And is it time? Will Magnus get you that beer, Simon? Will he move his queen to this square? Or if he moves his queen in any direction, essentially, his next move is definitely going to be to castle queenside. So.
Like it.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think Kaja might still be OK. I suspect that the white king might find a home on the f2 square.
Yeah, I think it's kind of 50-50. I have to say, I think it's still a fair bet, because there's many other moves, isn't there, David? I mean, you could start by moving your knight on the rim. That saying, knights on the rim are dim, or there's many sayings like that. You could start moving that towards the centre. Looks very logical. And I think that's probably what I would think about doing. Or you could try to get your light square bishop in the game as well, but I don't think you need to rush for that. So there's other plans here, certainly. I think in some ways, though, Christopher should be quite happy with this position, David and Jovanka, because he wants a sharp game. He wants counter-attacking, and, with what might be opposite side castling, he's going to get tactical opportunities, which suits his style. So it could work in his favour.
Yeah, it suits his style, and he's never really going to beat Magnus in a kind of slow strategic battle or in kind of a manoeuvring type of endgame. So, I mean, this is pretty much all you can hope for, especially with the black pieces, if you want to win. Of course, a draw is a decent result against Magnus, and you can do that in a variety of ways if you play really, really well. But here, all three results are possible, and for the standings, I mean, a win here would be huge for Christopher. OK, the knight does centralise, as you pointed out, Simon. Very logical move. It's good for you, Kaja. The longer he delays castling, the less likely it will become. Yep.
We haven't kind of clarified the rules when it comes to this bet. What happens if the king does not move? Then I win.
Then I lose, basically, he has to castle throughout the game. If he doesn't castle queenside, I will happily buy Kaja. And you drink wine as well. Yeah, really expensive wine probably as well. OK. Oh, come on, beer. Save me. So...
You're lucky
we'll
not
see.
betting against me because I don't drink wine or beer.
Oh, that'd be a good bet then. So, a nice fizzy water for you, Jovanka?
Actually, I would have to go up, take you
The spirits.
whiskey, yeah.
Oh, wow. OK. The hard stuff. So, yeah. Phew. Whiskey in Norway, I can only imagine how much that costs. So
don't bet with me.
No. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird position. How does Black get counterplay here? I mean, Black's got to develop those queenside pieces, I guess. I mean, if I was Black here, I'd be looking at maybe throwing the knight to the edge, just trying to get some ideas going from the Black side.
Which knight are you thinking, Simon? One of these pieces, maybe?
Yeah, I'm thinking one of the undeveloped pieces. I can maybe target those double pawns. This is a very normal plan in this opening, the Nimzo Indian. When you've got, we call them double pawns in front of each other. They're generally quite weak because they're a bit harder to defend. They're a bit clumsy. So a very normal idea is to attack those pawns. So this would be, logical. Move the knight to try and come in, and maybe you can back it up with a bishop attacking that pawn and even a queen at some stage if things go ideally. So that looks like one plan, at least, that Black could try here.
Very sensible. He plays that move.
He has. I think he's got to try to get counterplay. I don't know if Magnus has got anything immediate. I feel like maybe not at the moment. He's just got to get some more pieces in the game. Very interesting position.
I mean, do you like Magnus's position? It looks strange to me with the pawns all over the place.
It's very weird. I wouldn't like it just because my style, I want a bit more control, a bit more harmony and fewer kind of long-term deficiencies like these pawns. But maybe, Simon, you will like the kind of attacking potential that White has on this open line. The Black King is also quite, it's a significant target. You have the potential of more central pawns. It's not possible right now, but if White can ever kind of support this pawn push, then White will have 3 nice pawns in the centre of the board. So there are pluses and minuses for both sides. Black is kind of deprived of any dark square control because he's parted with his dark square bishop earlier in the game. And Black's pieces still need a while to come out into the game. It's maybe a bit easier for White's pieces to do that. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a fascinating position. It's so imbalanced, and it shows that Magnus is really playing for the win, but Christopher fighting fire with fire. And right now, I'm expecting either this bishop to come out. Not sure really what it's doing there, but it looks like a decent square. Or what else? The White Queen might have to move. It might be time to get ready for Simon to win that bet. The Queen might move and the King might run away to safety.
Yeah. Maybe the White Knight. Could it come into the centre? I mean, it's one of those weird positions, isn't it, Jovanka, where there's so many peculiar ideas, I guess.
I know. I mean, it's very, very strange. I almost feel like Black probably has to wait and see what White does before actually taking any decisions as to where to develop the minor pieces, because then at least the plans are simpler. Because as it stands, there seems to be a rather odd position. I've never seen anything like this.
It's a very weird position, and I really do think that would favour Christopher, because, if we have a standard kind of position, Magnus' experience will come through, and the more weird the position, I think the more, more unbalanced.
And he's still so young. There's so many positions he hasn't seen yet.
There is, yeah. I know.
Imagine when he's seen them all.
Yeah.
Kaya wins the bet.
Oh, dear.
Oh, that's so nice, Magnus. Very good. All right.
There goes a glass of wine and £50.
Yeah, the King deciding to park itself on this square.
Yeah.
It looks safer here, to me.
It does look safer, but if you look at Black's rook, the Black rook next to his King, the Black rook's on the same file as this White King. So long term, there might be some tricks.
And look at the bar. It's gone in Christopher's favour after that really rubbish move. Magnus, you deserve to lose now for not winning my bet. Yeah, I mean, but we did mention that. Yeah. It's quite a sensible square.
It's logical. And if worst comes to the worst, the White King only needs 2 more moves to kind of shuffle to the right and then shuffle into the bottom right corner. And in the corner of the board, it will be completely safe. So Magnus, I think he's just keeping his options open. He didn't feel that the queen side was safe long term. He had the same instinct as Kaja there, but yeah, right now it's still very tense. Maybe that's the Norwegian school of chess, just never castle queen side. Yeah, and it's up to Christopher, as Jovanka mentioned, to try and activate those black pieces. It's not entirely easy. Black's light squared bishop still struggling to get anywhere active.
Yeah, and I quite like that move because White's also pairing maybe a little pawn push with the king is guarding a dark square diagonally. That the queen may have the black queen may have jumped into, so you can move your pawn up 1 square, and the light square bishop. You know, at the start of the game, you just want to play kind of simple moves, don't you? You want to develop your knights and bishops at the start of the game, and the only piece that Magnus hasn't developed is his light square bishop, and now he's trying to possibly prepare that one to come into the centre, which kind of looks like the ideal square because it's pointing towards black's king. So that maybe is what the real reason behind this king move is. So yeah, it is like, what does black do now? I mean, this looks really logical, doesn't it, David? Yeah. The knight jumping over there.
But now your move, Simon, pushing the pawn forward. Yeah. You defend it with the bishop. And as you mentioned, this pawn push was never, ever possible until your king supported it. Yeah, this is actually the dream square. You're talking to your pieces there, aren't you? Yeah,
and they're all kind of working well. And you've got the open... I mean, white's got this lovely, we call it open file. You know, your pieces that work in a straight line, rooks and queens, they love it when there's no pawns in the way of them because they can zoom up the board, do zoomies all the way towards the opponent's king. So that is it's a nice little zoomie towards the black king there, and that rook wants.
There's some tactics maybe against this pawn that will be pinned.
Certainly.
But yeah, right now, Christopher struggling to come up with a move. I mean, this one looks natural, it's just how you back it up. Oh. And you can't develop your bishop right now because it will simply be captured, or it can be forked immediately. For example, in this way, attacking 2 pieces at once. You can develop to the piece to this square. The bishop can go to d7, but it's not really doing much there, to be honest.
And you leave yourself vulnerable to captures like bishop takes knight.
Yeah, this is true. Actually, it might be winning, as you mentioned, Jovanka, hitting this rook, also hitting this pawn. And there'll be some forks. Instead, Christopher brings his knight back to the edge of the board. It was here about 5-6 moves ago, and the black knight. And wow, what a move from Magnus. He meets this offer of a knight trade by pushing his doubled pawn forward. What could the idea be there?
Well, he's really opening the light squares towards black's king, isn't he, here? So the problem with one of Christopher's earlier moves, moving that pawn in front of the rook, is you do weaken the black king. And I think Magnus's idea is to try and punish that with that diagonal, David, that you pointed out, maybe somehow. But it's risky, right? I mean, you're potentially losing a pawn here. You're sacrificing a pawn. So, and he played that immediately without any thought as well. So, very interesting position. I'm glad we picked this game.
Yeah.
This is a good game to pick. So,
shaping up nicely. What happens now, guys, though, if the pawn is just captured? What could Magnus's plan be?
I have no
Give
idea.
a check.
I just like...
If Patsa sees check, Patsa plays check.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a check. The king has to run into the corner.
And now what? Is it's just, you know,
no more checks.
No more checks.
OK. Well, he wants to... I think he wants to do that check with a bishop, Jovanka, which makes... It's a bit more harmonious, isn't it?
Yeah,
because then the queen might want to come the other way. Because if the queen can come over to the king's side, I like this idea. I think this is the idea. So the bishop wants to check.
For example, yeah.
And then the queen, because you need the queen to kill your opponent's king, normally. And now you can start moving that one over towards the king's side. And that's starting to look really dangerous, that position, I think, for black. Yeah. This must be the idea, I guess.
Must be, you're right. And Magnus has given up a pawn, but maybe pawns aren't too important right now. It's all about the 2 bishops. For example, if there is a knight trade ever, these 2 bishops are going to be fantastic pieces. And Christopher, you react by preempting any checks. If we go back to the current position, he just puts his king in the corner voluntarily.
Do you want to have another bet, Kaja?
Depends.
I'm going to bet that Magnus doesn't win this game. That's a really risky bet, but I'm already 1 bet down. I've got to up the antes now. So I'm gonna, and that is a good bet. You could be 2 glasses of wine up on the Saturday.
What is this?
Oh, well, I'm just thought. I mean, you can bet a Coke, or well, it doesn't have to be wine. It could be
Wait, so you're betting that it's a draw or a win for Christopher?
Yes.
Oh wait, so that would be Kaja would have 2 results. You would have 1.
No, I'd have 2. I'd have 2.
Other way around. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So I would bet that either black is going to draw this game or win this game, which is a really... I'm not sure I like that bet. I just kind of like the way the position's going for black.
Betting. You know what? I'll set a good example to be happy with my 1 win and just step away from more betting.
Very wise, I feel.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really a bet. It's a sportsman. We don't agree with betting. It's a sportsman thing.
It's probably, you know, you are one of the best chess players in the world. You know, you love competition. You just can't
Do you know there's an online word in the chess world to do with what you just did? It's called win quit.
Win quit. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Very wimpish. Very wimpish.
Everyone hates a win quitter.
Yeah, everyone hates
But it's a smart thing.
It's a smart thing
definitely
to do.
smart.
And, you know, that's why I never became a good athlete. In any way, I'm, you know, not competitive enough.
Does that mean you don't think Magnus is also going to win this position? You don't have faith in
I have faith in the young one,
young
Christopher
one.
Yu. I like the records. What if he sets the record?
Kaja, the last time you supported Magnus, you bet for Magnus. I ended up in a Teletubby costume.
Oh, that's true.
You could have done all sorts to Simon there.
There's no
yeah,
way.
exactly.
No Teletubby costume for me. I'll just clarify that. We have to find a very big costume. So.
Oh, that win quitting thing is the most frustrating thing in the world when you play an opponent online one game. For example, they have white, they win on time in a lost position, and then they refuse to give you a rematch. It makes my blood boil. And, that's what you've just done to Simon.
And I'm
Cruel.
proud of it.
Just cruel. I'm desperately trying to win back my pint, but this is not going to work.
I'm going to regret it now if Magnus wins. Yeah.
But, I mean, the only reason I'm saying that is I quite like what Black's doing. I mean, Magnus is taking risks, and I thought if the game had gone another way, with Magnus trying to, you know, take no risks, not sacrificing anything, playing it very slowly, very positionally, he'll just outplay Christopher. And I totally understand what Magnus is playing. He's great at every form of chess, and I still think he's probably favourite to win. He is the world champion. But I kind of, you know, I think it's getting very exciting now. And, you know, the young Christopher does thrive in interesting positions. So that's why I thought it was an interesting, you know, thing to go on. And I fought against this move as well. Now Black should move his knight to the edge of the board. This is another reason why I thought Black might be doing okay. Yeah, because, you know, if that bishop that's just moved can stay on that diagonal, then I really like White's position, you know, because it just looks so strong. But Black can now start playing with his pieces and start harassing them. You know, and I think it's just an unbalanced position, but it's, you know, it looks like, looks fun.
It does look like a fun position, but I kind of have a question for you, because the position to me looks totally wild. Should Black be kind of like playing like Simon is, like in just enhancing the tension, or should he perhaps kind of go swap everything off?
Well, if you could swap everything off, that'd be amazing. But there's a lot of things to swap.
Well, I did think that it was possible. You could first of all swap off the knights. I know. It lengthens the rook. I'm aware of that. But then you could also, because the bishop is unprotected, actually, no. Oh.
You can maybe
attack the bishop first.
It's kind of. Yeah, I mean, you could move the bishop in front of the queen, couldn't you? Potentially.
Yeah, because bishop takes bishop, unfortunately, is this banner in the works.
Yeah, OK, first. So, yeah. Forking, yeah.
Yeah, one piece will drop there. So potentially, for example, you could move your knight to the edge of the board.
Yeah.
I think White will drop his bishop back this way, maybe, but if it drops this way, you could try and trade it off. Or you could potentially block it up at some point, push this pawn, not in this exact position, but, yeah, I guess the risk involved here is that White's going to start ganging up on this pawn already, and the Black king is going to be very vulnerable. I think this is making Christopher hesitate from putting his knight on the edge of the board. OK, he plays a very risky move instead. He pushes a pawn, and that weakens the king even further.
That looks crazily risky to me, because look at that square next to the pawn, David, as well, right?
The square,
yeah.
If a knight ever lands here safely, it's just going to be game over. But Christopher and all of the young generation nowadays, they're very concrete. They don't see ghosts. They're fearless. Yes, it might weaken a square, but if it works move by move, then why not? And he's asked a big question of this bishop. If this bishop retreats, then actually this will favour Black hugely after a knight trade. Suddenly White has these two weak pawns, and White's king is open. So I don't think we'll see a bishop retreat from Magnus. If knight takes knight, I guess the queen will come out and recapture. I don't think you can take the bishop here because White's rook will recapture, and this king is too open. So we would see, for example, the Black queen come out, the White bishop drop back, and what has Christopher gained here? Yes, the queen is active, but it's not really going anywhere anytime soon. Bit of an odd choice, but the computer quite likes it. Still thinking it's roughly balanced.
Yep.
Do you know who Magnus is playing like in this game? Or at least who I think Magnus's play reminds me of.
A bit of a... I
Give
don't...
us a hint.
You were
Yeah.
going to say, I think... Were you going to say Alpha Zero?
I was gonna say like even out of Stockfish.
Yeah,
just
it reminds me of Alpha Zero, just giving up pawns. Alpha Zero is obsessed with
Right.
the two bishops as well.
Yeah.
I've seen Alpha Zero games where white gives up 4 pawns just for the bishop pair and some kind of long-term attack, which from human eyes look like actually it's not that dangerous, but long-term white gets the attack, and it's all about whether this unrivaled dark square bishop, this one can later. Not right now because it gets captured by the Black Knight, but whether it can later target the Black King. Alpha Zero also loves its pawn centres, so even what Magnus did earlier, giving up a pawn on this square, it just really brings back shades. And we know that Magnus was inspired in early 2019. The best form of his life was when he was inspired by Alpha Zero.
Interesting.
Yeah. And this whole idea of just dominating the dark squares is very, very powerful.
I mean, I wonder if you can throw the queen over now. I mean...
in the current position.
I want to get more pieces towards Black's king, but I wonder about it. But I'm kind of like not wondering too much, maybe. I mean, it's a kind of natural move because, you know, Black's king is very weak. You know, there's holes around it, there's diagonals towards it, there's a lot of white pieces, but I'm not going to cause any damage without the queen joining in. I was thinking even maybe rook takes pawn there, potentially.
Oh, wow, nice.
But, I mean, I don't really believe it, but you can see here I have a checkmate threat. So at least it gives Black something to think about, this kind of idea. And I really want to get the queen into the game in this position. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing I'm sure Magnus has to calculate, right? Because if it works, it could be extremely strong. And, of course, he can't see the evaluation bar. You know, for us, we can see it doesn't win. But for Magnus, he you know, maybe he's thinking there's a big move here.
Yeah, and I guess in this position, Black could defend by bringing the rook up and then blocking any checks. But it's still hanging by a thread for Black. Black would have an extra knight here, but still, I mean, ongoing attack against this pawn. But yeah, I mean, there's 2 options, right, as you say, Simon, in the current position. Either you just swap the knights off, you take the knights off the board, and then you drop back with your bishop, play positionally, long term, or you just do something crazy. It could be a sacrifice on this square, it could be a sacrifice here. This crossed my mind as well. Bishop takes pawn, and then jumping in with the knight with a check. We talked about this square. The king would move, I guess, and knight takes with a check. OK, he just goes for the slower approach. Maybe in this position, a rook versus 2 knights, he couldn't find a knockout blow. And let's go back to the game. It's all about the power of these bishops.
Yeah, and your instincts were correct, David. And gosh, it's an exciting game, and it's also going to be such an exciting day. And well, we love it when everyone at home kind of interacts with us and sends us their tweets. And Mohammed Farah has caught on the fact that we seem to have some catchphrases. Ooh. David's favourite is, me and my arrows. That's true. Apparently, I say, fizzle out to a draw quite a bit.
I've heard that before, yeah.
And Simon's, peculiar.
Very British.
Peculiar game. Very peculiar. Peculiar scenario with peculiar commentators.
Exactly.
It's easy to be on television.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And so thank you, Mohammed, for that great tweet. And if you too want to just send us your pictures, your photos, tweets like Mohammed's, then please do so using the hashtag #ChessChamps, and we will feature them on the show.
Look at what's happening.
Meanwhile.
I mean, wow, this is... Don't move pawns in front of your king. Oh, hang on a minute. Do move pawns in front of your king. What a peculiar idea.
What a peculiar game in general. I mean, Black has broken the rules several times, moving knights to the edge of the board. Magnus has broken the rules by not castling, sacrificing pawns. And now Christopher Yu opening up his own king by pushing pawns himself. And he's forced White's dark squared bishop far away, and now he's going for the white king. Both kings are targets here. The Black king, for now, is safe-ish, but there are threats against Magnus's king. Black's queen wants to come down and take the white h-pawn now with a nasty check. There's another check available the Black queen can go for. White's central pawn, the e-pawn, huge pressure on that right now. I like what he's doing. Just, again, just all out, all at Magnus. This is how to kind of beat the top players in the world, just show them no respect. It might backfire some of the time, but if it works, wow, this game might go down in history.
So Magnus is the dark squared bishop now. Is it a worse piece than it was?
It's still a good piece, but white's dark square bishop can't get at the black king yet. If the white square bishop drops back and checks that black king in the corner, then the black knight will take off that bishop. The black knight covers some very important squares. So there's also a chance white's dark square bishop, it's loose, and loose pieces, we know they drop off. So there's going to be some tactics against that piece if Magnus isn't careful. Suddenly, I love black's position. I mean, it's still objectively in the balance as we see with the computer, but anything could happen.
Yeah.
I'm just gutted that bet wasn't taken because I'm actually. It's just. You're going to say, Jovanka, but it looks to me like any result now. I mean, it's such a mess, and what brave play from the young Christopher. So he's, admirable play so far.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it looks like Magnus is going to have to give up material here. And there you see it. The queen takes the pawn with check. The rook will step up and block that check. And the checks will carry on as the queen moves along and checks the king on the diagonal.
Yep.
Such a weird
Such
position.
a wild position, though, because even though white's king is pretty exposed, it doesn't feel like black's king is all that safe either. One wrong move and that's it. The game is over for either side, actually.
I'm wondering if black was a little bit greedy there, to be honest, because now white's king seems very safe to me, and I agree with you, Jovanka. I think it's black's king that could come under some fire, those bishops, the rook, and a fianchettoed rook, which white has, that rook in front of the king, is a tremendous piece defending. You can't checkmate, really, when your opponent's got fianchettoed rook. So I'm kind of a bit fearful, actually, for black's position, without doing any calculation, that is, though.
Yeah, but I think maybe the bishop will have to start coming out and start attacking the white rook.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, it was such a good defender.
Yeah, and white's king now wants to hide in the corner on h1. The white rook will still protect it there, but yeah, as you guys say, the price of every move is so high right now. The stakes are just rising move by move. Christopher slightly lower on the clock. That could be a factor, but as Jovanka said, he plays very well. Good instincts when low on time. If the black rooks could somehow line up with the white king, maybe some chances, but yeah, if black's initiative, if the momentum dries up, then it's all going to be about those white bishops. Okay, Christopher takes a pawn. The white king does hide. So right now the material count is black has an extra pawn, but the material is secondary here. It's just about whether white bishops can get to that black king.
Do you think Christopher will try to put his rook on the G line and just go for broke, sacrifice material just to get at the white king?
Yeah, I think he's threatening to win a piece here as well, isn't he? Just by moving the bishop all the way back. I mean, look at those pieces on the file right on the edge of the board. They're all lined up there, but that white rook is very powerful, lined up against two of black's most powerful pieces, the queen and the king, eventually. So Christopher has to be very careful here, really careful in this position.
Jovanka's move here, rook to g8. This would involve a sacrifice, as you mentioned. The bishop can take this rook. But now there's a big threat of the bishop jumping out the way with a check. How do we defend against that? I mean, I only see a couple of ways. We have to guard this square. Either we use the white rook to protect the square from the side, or we use the white queen. I'm not sure which square is best.
Love the idea, though. I love that. I love these ideas. And if you can swing the knight around to g3, woof! You only need about 3 moves. Surely there's enough time to do that. But I mean, that would be fantastic. So I really is he going to do it next move? I mean,
But wait.
See the evaluation bar swing across. Maybe this was a bit of a slip-up by Christopher Yu. It makes sense, he's attacking this bishop.
Yeah.
The bishop only really has one safe square. It, again, doesn't want to go into the centre yet to check, because it can just be captured by the black knight, so Magnus drops it back to d6 instead, hitting this rook. And the rook moves. Okay, hitting the bishop now. So how does he keep this bishop alive?
So he's doing Jovanka's plan, but he's trying to keep both rooks on the board, and but it does seem like the diagonals towards black's king are going to be very exposed as well.
For example, if you take this pawn just to guard your bishop, as you say, Simon, this diagonal, if you just land one check later for white, it's going to be game over. At the moment, you can't, because the black knight covers this square and this square. Me and my arrows. The knight covers these two squares. But, yeah, I guess this is the plan, right? Christopher wants to switch his rook. How do we defend against that?
Wild stuff. Yeah. Completely wild.
Crazy. And the evaluation bar might favour white, but I mean, all three results still on the cards for sure. This is the current position. Okay, he needed to defend this bishop, Magnus, so he plays the most natural move. He takes a pawn. And whose attack is going to be quicker?
And surely now the rook has to move over. I mean, Christopher's then got 3 pieces against White's king. That one rook in front of White's king is saving it, and the rook is a great defender. But, you know, it's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
And
big threat.
Yeah, massive threat there, which would win the game if you can get that check in. So, on the defensive, Magnus.
Maybe it's time to use the sleeping rook on the A1 square. Move it up to the second row. I love these kind of moves.
Just to guard this square. I mean, I'm scared what happens if Black brings his remaining rook into the game now. Oh, sorry, mouse slip. To this square, sorry, the E8 square, threatening to come down with a deadly check.
Looks nasty.
Suddenly, Black's attack looks more dangerous than White's.
What if you moved also the bishop all the way back as well as Jovanka's move? Sorry for looking at, you know, jumping ahead there, but potentially this move defends and attacks because you're defending that check that Black was planning, but
this bishop is pinned as well.
That could be.
Yeah, it looks scary to allow some check on this square, but at the moment White has everything covered. Maybe Black just has to defend his bishop. I can't see anything else in that position. But this one, I mean, it looks really awkward, this tension between the White rook, the Black bishop, the Black queen. But how do you overwhelm? How do you win a piece? It's all about whether Black can get his rook into the attack and whether White can get his rook into the defense. These are the 2 sleeping pieces. So tense. And, OK, Magnus moves his queen instead. That's the one option we didn't consider. The idea is that the bishop check now is met by a short-term queen sacrifice. You take the bishop. The White queen drops, but then the Black queen drops afterwards, and White wins a piece in that process. So you are covering all the checks. Actually, it makes sense. Now there's threats of this bishop check for White. The queen drops in. How scary is this? So many pieces near this White king, but no threat yet that I can see. Is it time for White to maybe bring this piece into the game? Oof.
What a game.
What a game.
And remember, Christopher Yu, 15 points. He is in 9th place, currently 1 spot away from top 8 who qualifies for the knockout stage. The youngest player in the tournament, playing a fearless game here against world #1, Magnus Carlsen.
It looks really scary for White, but if you're objective, there is no threat.
Yeah.
So this means that you have some extra time, and you kind of mentioned bringing in the rook. I was just also thinking, that's much more Magnus's style, right?
I mean, the White light squared bishop could have moved as well to attack a few things, but this makes sense. And I don't really see how that Black rook at the top of the board is getting in the game. That's the problem, maybe, for Christopher Yu. He doesn't have any safe squares or any active safe squares to go to.
I can't see any plan for Black. Yeah. That's actually maybe the problem, right? I mean, Black's got the 3 pieces around White's king, but they're not really threatening anything. And the rule is when you're attacking, which Black's trying to do, you need to bring in your reinforcements. So you start to look at the knight and the other rook, and as you said, David, the other rook has no squares it can come into, and the knight also has no routes it can move to. So logically, what actually can Black do in this position? What piece, what plan can Black play? I can't see a move here for Black, you know, which is worrying, obviously, if you can't see a move and White can just improve as he's done with the last move. Anyone see an idea for Black? I'm really struggling, actually, here to find a plan.
He has to move soon. He's only got 1 minute, and I'm the same as you, Simon. I can barely see a productive move for Black. OK, he moves his rook. So I'm not exactly sure what the idea behind that one is. Maybe it will shuffle across to the H file, add more pressure there, but I guess that's also why the evaluation bar is on White's side right now, because Black is struggling for plans. Magnus needs a plan of his own, however, and which piece can be improved now? You don't want to touch the White rook in front of the king. You don't want to touch the White queen, or really the other White rook, so it might be the bishops by process of elimination.
Could you also try to swap of queens? You know, we kind of say that a lot.
Well done, Jovanka.
He sees the future.
Yeah.
Does that favour White?
Well, we kind of have this rule that when you're on the defensive and your king is feeling slightly unsafe, I mean slightly in the British way, you know, it's very unsafe, try and swap of queens. The queen's a dangerous attacker.
Yeah, and also, I go on about this a lot, but the 2 bishops, when you have the bishop pair, the fewer pieces remain, the more powerful those bishops become. If the queens disappear, White's bishops will be free to just wreak havoc. Yeah, it looks like a very strong, safe move there by Magnus. The queens do disappear. And now we enter a completely different phase of the game. There won't be checkmates yet, at least not against the white king. But the black king in the corner feels vulnerable to the bishops.
Ooh, and Christopher, he has ticked under 1 minute on the clock now, ticking down to 30 seconds. But he looks so calm, this 15-year-old. Impressive stuff.
Yeah, very impressive. I mean, he's played a great game so far, right? Yes, the evaluation bar might think white is doing well, but he's been so creative, Christopher. Still fighting very well, and this game's far from over. OK, white's rook comes back to that great defensive square, and black pushes a pawn. Harry the h-pawn.
Yeah, I mean, he's done well, but it does seem like those bishops, as you mentioned, look at white, you know...
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's an open board. This, when I mean open board, there's so many lines which is no pawns are blocking, and bishops just work so well. And look at the rook. The rook is also now coming in. It's starting to really look a bit dicey for black, I think, now.
Yeah, let's examine the problems. There are a few problems here. Firstly, it's level material, but this pawn can be taken any time. This pawn's actually very, very weak, and as Simon mentions, the rook is coming in with a nasty check, supported by this bishop. How do you stop that? The only move to stop that is to move your bishop away again, but white's rook will have several ways in, including by just going after this pawn. OK, Christopher Yu tries to break his own rook out of its current prison. It's completely dominated by white's bishops, but OK, where is the knockout? Feels like this rook is almost trapped, but you can flick in this bishop move, you can flick in a check with the white rook. Too many options for Magnus, almost.
I mean, there's two bishops and a rook attacking the black king now, and that is a lot of pieces. I mean, you know, I love the idea. I mean, the rook check looks the most obvious, and he's played it.
Yeah, and then, you know, you can also play the bishop in to attack.
Or this one? Or...
Yeah, I mean, the bishop to one square, yeah.
To undermine this bishop, which is actually pinned on the 8th rank. This looked very strong. Magnus went for a different move. He dropped his rook back. So I guess he wants to create some mating attack with his bishops now. OK, he wanted to drop back with a check, so this was blocked by Christopher Yu. Very good move. Or at least very logical move. Just blocking any checks. OK, he's got his king slightly safer than it was. Start fighting so well, Christopher.
That last move seems key, doesn't it? You know, bringing that bishop to stop a lot of checks. And Magnus now switching plans a little bit. So tying down black's rook, can't move because you win the knight. And black's got to find a move here. That's a really clever move. That's such a clever move.
Relentless, isn't it? Just when you think maybe you have a chance, Magnus goes, no. There you go. You have to put your knight on the edge of the board.
And now the bishop now he's going the other way. That's really clever play.
Ruthless.
Yeah, it's just about these bishops. They are dominating everything right now. It looks like Magnus, big favourite.
And a big result in the game between Levon and Prague. A win and 3 points for Levon. That is super good news for the American, because he needs to stack up points today to qualify for the knockout stage. Niemann in huge trouble in his game. If he loses this, chances are even bigger he will be in that 8th place, who currently faces Magnus Carlsen in the quarterfinals. Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a very dramatic last couple of rounds of the prelims.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Magnus has grabbed a pawn with his last move. It's still level material. Black took a pawn as well, but the black knight's running out of squares.
It's not just the knight that's the problem, it's the black king. I mean, that is in a checkmating net.
Wow,
and
what a move, though, from Christopher Yu.
Using all tactics to try and survive this one. The rook is lined up against the king, but I guess, you know, the king can simply move if worst case scenario. And it looks like Hans is literally doing everything to come 8th. So that's a joke, of course. Just clarify.
Meanwhile, the white king did get out of the way of any potential discover checks on that g-file. The white king just sidestepped, and the black knight had to run. This knight's really struggled. It's gone to the edge of the board, it got kicked back, now it's gone to the top of the board, and it's running out of squares still. Magnus, even if the rooks come off, to be honest, white's rook is better than the black rook right now, but even if the rooks come off, it looks very good for white. All of black's pawns are weak.
And it is a loss for Hans Niemann in his game against Ivan Saric. That means Ivan Saric, he climbs on the table, still outside top 8, Niemann still inside. But that 8th place is getting closer for him. And if Magnus wins this game, It is looking more likely that Magnus will win the preliminaries. It's 1 point for Arjun Erigaisi and second point with a draw in this round against Wojtaszek. Yeah.
Very tense.
Yeah.
It's going to be a brilliant finish today. You know, we're going to have 2 games left after this. I mean, who knows who's going to qualify and play who tomorrow? Yeah. It's going to be so exciting.
I know. Yeah.
There've literally been times as well on the tour that it's come down to the last few moves in order to see who gets through. Often one player's finished waiting, hoping that another game goes their way and hoping that a certain result appears. Meanwhile, Magnus, he's safe, he's through to the knockouts, but he dropped his bishop back, attacking Black's rook, and the rook shuffled into the corner. Whoa, it's not a square you want to use.
He's trying everything to defend this, but this is like, you know, the bishops are just... I mean, it all started with this beautiful pawn sacrifice that Magnus played. He played this, as you said, alpha zero kind of move to get the bishops working in such a beautiful way. And it's been a great game so far, this one. Really, really good. Yeah. Just got to now coordinate a little bit better with the rook. How do you move it? Do you try to attack the bishop? Do you try to get it to check the king one file forwards, which you can't do at the moment? There's many sort of tempting options, aren't there?
Yeah, I know. A lot of tempting moves. Like, I was thinking you could just go pawn hunting, but he's gone for attacking the bishop. Still feels like Black's king is walking such a tightrope. I feel like it's going to get checkmated any time now, you know, with those 2 bishops like sniffing around.
Yeah, it's looking very dodgy. Oh dear. It's never nice moving your piece back to... If he just moves his knight back, he's got, you know, them all in the starting squares, ready for the next game. So, you know, get them set up. So
I think we might see checkmate end this game. It feels like the Black King has got almost 0 escape squares. It's only got the one next to it right now. And Magnus, he can give a check with his light squared bishop. He can give a check with his rook. It looks so promising. We saw Magnus as well lean in after that last move was played. He smells the checkmate. He senses it. And at the very least, he will be able to win a couple of pawns, most likely. But, yeah, where is the killer blow?
And also, what's Black's next move? This is always worth thinking about when you're playing chess. Don't just think of your own ideas, because if you can't see a win, think, what's my opponent going to play next? And try to find a move for your opponent. And again, if you get into the habit of doing that, and this is why Magnus might have played a quiet move. He's doing that. I think he's thinking, what can my opponent move next? And most of the moves that Black can play lose something actually here. So this is just a great way to think when you're playing. So he's moved the king, but now he's lining it up to a bishop check at some point. Oh, OK, and he's closing the net around the king here with that pawn.
The deadly threat now is for White's rook to step 1 square further forward onto the 7th rank.
1
check
second.
that Black king.
Did he make a move? Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He made it.
Left.
Oh, but that's it.
That's it. I mean, look at that rook. It's going to give a check. King is forced to step backwards. Game over.
Yeah.
It is over, but what a fight from Christopher Yu against the world champion Magnus Carlsen. But it is 3 points for Magnus. He is safe in top of the table. Christopher Yu, he still has 2 games and he needs probably to win them to qualify for the knockout stage. But this was a fantastic game. Let's take a look at it, David.
Yeah, a wonderful game from both players. Full credit to Christopher Yu for putting up a great fight and for not being afraid of the world champion, for going for it. But Simon called this move as one of the most important, and I'm inclined to agree. It was a pawn sacrifice, a long-term sacrifice by Magnus. He pushed his c-pawn forward. This pawn was a weak pawn anyway, so it made sense to get rid of it. And after the pawn was captured, he simply stepped forward, opening up a nice square for his bishop. The Black king moved, the White bishop occupied this great diagonal. And if we fast forward now to the final position, after a bunch of exchanges, the queen's disappearing, set of rooks, the knights, everything disappearing, the bishop stayed on this square. This bishop was powerful. The White dark square bishop kept the Black king caged. And this is almost checkmate. The Black king in check has to retreat, and White here can start cleaning up the board, can start taking up all the pieces due to the power of this bishop. That small pawn sacrifice earlier led to the win eventually.
Only 2 rounds to go in the preliminaries, and in round 14 we will follow Ivanchuk. He is currently on 16 points, and in the next round he plays Hans Niemann, who is right inside top 8 with 18 points. If Ivanchuk wins this one, then he will go past Hans Niemann. This will be a crucial one in the fight to qualify for the knockout stage. We're going to build up to that and talk to Ty again about probabilities for who faces who in the quarterfinals when we get back after a commercial break.
Air quality isn't the first thing that comes to mind when you think about chess and esports, but it affects our focus, decision-making, health, sleep, and more. What's in the air you breathe? Find out with Air Things.
definitely going to crush it. Set, go!
When someone asks me how my chess game is going,
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Meetup is a great app if you want to meet new friends or people with the same interests. And on the final day of this on the second to final day, first day of the final on Saturday, that is, Meetup and the Champions Chess Tour has teamed up and is hosting a watch party at the Good Night in Oslo. So download the Meetup app and find the event and join with your friends or by yourself to find some new friends in the chess community. Simon is going to be at the Good Night, so at least you get to hang out with one of the coolest people in chess. And now we're joined by, first, let's take a look at the results from round 13. Only 2 rounds to go. It was a win for Magnus Carlsen, 3 points. Crucial loss for Hans Niemann. Ivan Saric taking all points in that one. Levon Aronian, 3 very important points for him against Pragnananda. So let's take a look at the standings after 13 out of 15 rounds in the preliminaries. Still, Magnus Carlsen on top now, 3 points down to Arjun Erigaisi. And if we look around that crucial 8th place, we now have Prag on 19 points. Hans Niemann, 7th place with 18 points. Levon Aronian, he is now inside top 8, 17 points. He has knocked Anish Giri outside the top 8, 17 points also for Anish. We see Ivanchuk, who played a draw in that recent round, 16 points for him. So now we're joined by Ty. And Ty, can you update us on the stats? Levon Aronian, Anish Giri, what are the chances they will qualify now?
So Aronian's up to 64%, Giri's down to 36%. The big picture is that it looks like the qualifying mark is getting lower, right? That group around 8th place got more clumped with Niemann and Prague losing, so they had chances to sort of extend their leads that they didn't take. Aronian winning. We've got an even bigger clump on those scores right around that 8th place mark, so it's looking more likely, not guaranteed, but more likely that 20 points might be enough to get in. Maybe even in some scenarios, someone sneaks in with 19, though I certainly wouldn't count on it as a strategy for anyone. So that's giving us essentially Prague is safer than he looked before with 19 points. Another point would be great on his side, but he's still in pretty good shape at 91%. And then we've got now this group of basically 5 players looking for those last 2 spots, and they're all in it.
Yeah.
So
Wojtacek, Ivanchuk, Giri, and we also saw Hans Niemann, and that was the first thing I noticed when this one came up, Ty. Now the most likely is that Magnus will play Hans Niemann in the quarterfinals. Magnus taking 1st place, Hans 8th place. Is that correct?
So not exactly, because Niemann's chances of qualifying for the quarterfinals at all went down so much. If he qualifies, he's more likely to be an 8th and have that matchup, but he has to get there first. If he finishes 9th, they don't play. So actually, the odds of a Niemann-Carlsen match dropped a little to 12% or so, where I just tweeted out and then forgot what the updated odds are. Yeah, Aronian is the most likely opponent at 19% for Carlsen.
Okay, how interesting.
Niemann's down around 12.5% because qualifying is suddenly a bigger doubt. He wasn't really supposed to lose to Saric in the model, so that threw things off and dropped his odds of getting in a lot. But it's true now that if he does get in, it's more likely to be in 8th place. And Carlsen's a little more likely to have that 1st place spot.
And of course, in the next round, Ty, we're going to follow Ivanchuk against Hans Niemann. So how crucial can that game turn out to be? Is a win important for both of them in that one?
Yeah, if that game is decisive, this is super low sample size, but I've got Niemann at 99% if he wins and 17% if he loses.
Oh, wow. And how about Ivanchuk then?
Ivanchuk, with a win, could get himself to be a favorite to qualify at 56%, but if he loses, he got in 2 out of 100 times in in the 100 simulations I ran on that. So the loser is not quite eliminated, but it's really bad to lose that game if it's decisive. Whereas the winner, Hans almost could clinch. It gets him to 21 points. That's pretty well in. Ivanchuk would be real solidly back in contention if he wins. So that game is huge if it's decisive. And if it's drawn, Ivanchuk really needs 2 wins in these last 2 rounds. So a draw, he's still like 11%, but he needs to try to win, especially with white. And Niemann with a draw would be in the 50-50 range.
Okay.
Going into the last round for his own qualifying.
Super interesting. Ty, thanks for the update, and we'll talk to you again before the final round in the preliminaries.
See you then.
See you then. Wow, listen to that. It's basically must win for Ivanchuk in this next round. These are the matchups. Anish Giri now outside top 8, and he plays Prague in the next round. Levon Aronian is up against Ivan Saric, coming from that win. Saric, Jan-Krzysztof Duda plays David Navarra. Christopher Yu now against Adiban. Wojtacek against Magnus Carlsen. We are going to follow the game between Ivanchuk and Hans Niemann. It's basically a must-win for Ivanchuk, Hans Niemann as well. He needs points to be safe to qualify. So should we expect both of these players to basically go hard for a win, David?
It feels that way. Both players have had a very up and down tournament as well. A lot of decisive games, a lot of incredible wins, but also some really kind of poor losses. So it's hard to predict this one in terms of which way it's going to go, but it's definitely going to be exciting to follow.
Yeah, it's always exciting to follow Ivanchuk. An artistic player is what he's been described as. And here we go. The game has started.
Game has started. It's King's Pawn opening. Hans copies with his King's Pawn as well. And which variation is Ivanchuk going to use here? The Italian game is maybe the most topical right now, but he goes for the Roy Lopez, the Spanish opening, and Hans really wants to go solid. He does not want to lose this game, Hans, of course, for the standings, so he plays the Berlin defense. And no endgame. We've seen some quick draws in the Berlin defense, but none of that. Of course, Ivanchuk wants to fight. And the game takes a slower turn right now. So normally here, black castles his king. That's the typical move. Ivanchuk just trying to keep as many pawns on the board as possible. Ivanchuk, he's got a bunch of choices here. I like the opening choice, though, from him. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, again, you've got to think a little bit about experience. Ivanchuk, much more experienced than Hans, so he probably wants to play a bit of a longer positional game. Don't get involved with too many tactics, is the general thing I'm thinking. And he's played E4, E5 positions, these type of structures for so many years. You might think that experience will help him. Hans plays lots of different openings. His decision to go solid is understandable, and luckily all the pieces are on the board still, and all the pawns. So it's really just heating up at the moment.
Yeah.
And Jovanka, do we have? I don't know if we have many games in
we
this.
Have
many games.
Many games in the database.
Thousands.
Yeah, I would say so. There's like nine pages at least.
Okay.
And I can see Magnus Carlsen is the headliner. And he played many games in this particular variation. And after this night move, well, top person who's played it is actually Veselin Topalov in 2015 against Alexander Grishuk.
I must say, up until this last night move from the black side, I'd had that position against Magnus, against Caruana, against Anand, against Svidler, against just too many players.
You played some good players.
Yeah, I mean, I won't talk about the results in those clashes. They didn't go too well for me from the black side of that position, but this white knight move is just a flexible move order. Okay, white does decide to castle. I think white's knight move was kind of aimed towards preventing black from breaking out in the centre immediately. So Hans, instead, shaking his head there, maybe slightly disappointed by his choice of move there. But he is asking a question of white's light squared bishop. White's light squared bishop could just take this knight. It does feel like maybe Hans has got his move order mixed up, because normally you choose a different pawn move first. You push a pawn in the centre for black. Now we're actually going to transpose into a known variation, but black has wasted a move with his A-pawn. Normally white kind of willingly takes this knight a bit earlier in the opening. And, OK, I'm expecting the black central pawn to take this bishop.
bit strange to play a move and shake your head immediately, you know, because it's like it's a mistake. So it's like, oh, okay, it happens that you get your move order mixed up, but little tempo losses can be very important now. And this seems like a typical plan that's been played here, but that little pawn move, I don't know, could bite hands in the bottom.
Yeah, but I think I've had this exact position, except with Black's A pawn back 1 square, and it was Black to move. And in that position, of course, Black doesn't really want to push his pawn in front of his rook, which doesn't really do anything. Black has far more productive moves, so it's Hans mixing up his opening there slightly, or at least, I mean, he's not worse. He hasn't made any big mistakes, but at least it's not the most common.
Still very solid, isn't it,
David,
very solid, position? Yeah. I mean, I guess in the Berlin, the main advantage of Black is the 2 bishops, right? So you've got slightly inferior pawn structure as Black here, double pawns, but you have the 2 bishops, and we saw Magnus in the last game beautifully using those 2 bishops. So, and there's no real other weaknesses, so it's still very early days, right? And I mean, I don't know if we're going to have any games in this. I mean, I'd be surprised if we had many games with this A6 move, but do we?
Yeah, we still do have games. Fabiano Caruana has played this against Hikaru Nakamura in 2018. It was a win for Fabiano. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave has also beaten Laurent Fressinet with the white pieces here, as has Vishy Anand against Anish Giri in 2019.
So maybe Black's loss of kind of half a tempo isn't the most important. Meanwhile, Hans retreating his bishop instantly. That bishop was about to get hit. White is likely at some point to step forward in the centre with some pawns. So this is a very logical move by Niemann. And I'm expecting here either White's going to step forward immediately, or White's maybe going to bring his bishop out and maintain the tension a bit longer. It's a matter of taste here for Ivanchuk. He's got this, as you mentioned, he's got the problem that Black is the one with the 2 bishops, and although Black's bishops don't look great right now, opening the position up like he's doing does come with some long-term risk, but very logical by the centre.
And it's got good pedigree, because this is exactly how Vishy Anand handled the position with the white pieces. And in this particular game, Black actually challenged the knight on c4 by playing knight b6.
And this is, I mean, as our stats man was saying, this is such an important game. Either side wins this game, they're very, very likely to qualify. Well, more so Hans. Ivanchuk's still got work to do, but a loss can make them unlikely to qualify. So there's so much riding on this one game here, adding to the tension of it. I mean, White's got a lovely looking centre here. Yeah. I mean, it looks nice, doesn't it? Those pawns are controlling a lot of squares. You've got a lot of space. I like having the space advantage, as you know, when I'm playing personally. It's easier to play when you have more space to manoeuvre your pieces behind. Again, they say chess is based on a battle, and if you you know, have more ground in a battle, you've got more areas to move your pieces to. So Hans now moving out to attack that centre with his knight, trying to gain some squares, I guess, there.
Yeah, and he's trying to provoke the centre to commit itself. If White marches forward with the pawn now, Black's knight would have an ideal outpost in the centre of the board. So actually gaining space with the pawns is not great. Instead, Ivanchuk very quickly brings his bishop out, creating this pin. Black kicks that bishop, and we see a trade of pieces. So now it's 2 knights against 2 bishops, which often favours the 2 bishops, but right now White does have the centre to boot, so kind of extra tension added in this piece configuration. And yeah, I guess Black has some type of threat of pinning himself, creating this pin.
I was very surprised he gave up that bishop there, David, but maybe we don't really have time to look at it, but I thought Ivanchuk might have held on to his remaining bishop. But he plays a move here, and you've got to restrict your opponent's bishops, right? And that's what this last move does, working out what Black wants to play and stopping Black from playing that obvious move there. Which side would you guys take? Jovanka, would you go White or Black here?
I think I would go for the Black pieces, just because I like the bishop pair. But I think that White's doing OK, as long as this light square bishop is bad. I mean, as long as it doesn't have a good diagonal to point at, I think it should be OK. But I don't know. I feel like the momentum could easily slip away from Ivanchuk.
about you, David. I mean, I don't have to ask this question.
You don't have to ask this.
I know you're a bishop lover.
Yeah, I love his bishops.
You and Magnus both, I guess, really. So you love your bishops. And,
a lot of top players do, I guess.
Yeah.
But this exact type of position, it's one of the positions I like the bishops the least, but I still would prefer them over the knights. The knights don't have anywhere too nasty to jump into yet. And the white queen comes out. I was going to say you've got to be careful where you put the queen. A typical tactic would be to move the queen, for example, to this square, and maybe forget that after bishop takes pawn, suddenly this knight is a bit loose. The pawn is overworked, so if you capture, black would merge with an extra pawn. So indeed, Jan-Krzysztof would see something like that, and he moves his queen to a square where it does protect the knight from afar. And it's a pin, a short-term pin, but the queen just sidesteps. Very solid stuff, logical from both sides. Valuation bar is heading in black's favour, and Hans immediately pushes a pawn. Very provocative to allow white to step forward. He does that to get the queens off the board, and now we're in an endgame. Are the bishops superior to the knights? We will find out. The black bishop will step back, and the white pawns might step forward. It's really imbalanced. The pawn structure here, with black having doubled pawns, white having these beautiful pawns in the centre, but black does have the potential of those bishops.
So who would you guys prefer then?
I'll still say black.
Okay.
How about you guys, Simon, Jovanka?
I'm a bit more positive with the knights. I mean, because I just find them really tricky, and I like the centre. So I'm gonna take white here.
This is the eternal, matter of taste. Do you like the knights or do you like the bishops?
It is. I mean, bishops really are stronger than knights. So but I'm not as strong as David, so I can go with the knights anyway.
I mean, it's a matter of taste, right? I mean, Vichy Anand loved his knights.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Polgar.
Polgar loved her knights.
Morozevich, I suppose. There were certain players who preferred knights, but not many, were there? I mean, historically, Shigorin, I suppose, as well. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I have to say I like black's position. I think, actually, the more I look at it, the more I think that he has quite a serious advantage, because he has the capability to push those pawns forward, especially I'm thinking of the ones on the left. And here you go. That came very quickly.
Yeah.
And
some very quick decisions by Hans, but very strong ones as well.
Yeah.
Now opening up the position for the bishops.
He's not messing around. I mean, he wants to get that. I mean, when you've got a pawn majority, so when you've got more pawns than your opponent on one side of the board, you should use that majority to try and get a pass pawn. And I like, though, what Chucky's done here, trying to at least close down the position. You don't allow black's dark square bishop to come in. I'm surprised the valuation bar is so much in Hans' favour here. It's really liking Hans' position, and, I don't see it's a two-pawn advantage to me. But that is, I suppose, a very nice pass pawn there. So, yeah.
I mean, could some of the pieces be a little bit loose for white? And, OK, Chucky moves his king towards the centre. But, I mean, how is white going to deal with this protected pass pawn? Yeah, I understand you could put a knight in front of it, but it looks rather defensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about that black B pawn right now. And, OK, Hans just making a decision how to activate his pieces. But if the black B pawn can't be controlled, then long-term it's just going to march down and promote. And the problem for white, OK, Hans pushes his pawn. The problem is you want to blockade it with a knight. But as soon as you play this move, we'll see a rook trade. And the problem, OK, it has happened. The rook will capture now. And if white's rook goes away, then this pawn simply drops off. Black wins a pawn. And therefore, you have to capture with the white knight. But as soon as you step that way with the white knight, black will come across and dominate the open file with his rook. OK, Chucky's actually just given up a pawn. Wow. What is his idea here? He's given up, after rook takes rook, he's given up his central pawn. Things will start to collapse. Is his idea to activate his rook, attacking this bishop, but the bishop can just step back, still maintaining defense of this pawn? It looks like Hans is going to do a smash and grab, just win a pawn for free.
I'm worried for Chucky. I mean, I really want to see Chucky qualify, as I've said throughout, because I just love watching him when he's on, in gear. But this has been a brilliant game from Hans so far. He's made it look easy, hasn't he? He's just played very natural moves, knows the opening, and he's gained a major advantage now. By playing these natural moves.
After we saw that piece imbalance, two bishops against two knights, I think Hans has just played it perfectly. He's swapped off queens when he's needed to, and there you go, he takes the pawn. And he's looking very impressive right now. And I wanted to share with you a tweet from Takiwaki, actually. He said they started playing chess with their son in 2021. And he even baked me a beautiful birthday cake. My rating just hit my birth year of 1980. Never too old to start the beautiful game. I love chess cakes.
Yeah.
That looks so yummy. Have you ever had a chess cake?
No, but I've had a lot of cake. As you may have noticed.
You're famously a cake thief, Simon.
That does sound bad, doesn't it? But I did once walk out of a shop accidentally without paying for my cake, and I nearly got arrested. So I'm the Norwegian ginger cake thief. But yeah, that looked gorgeous, that cake, didn't it? So, very
You
good.
should steal some gingerbread, though. That's...
Gingerbread. Well,
It could be the gingerbread thing.
I have been called similar before. So, but this just it looks so good for black now. Black's a pawn up, 2 bishops, and it's white's knights. White's knights. So David's calling them superfluous knights, where they can't get in the game. 2 connected past pawns. You know, he's making it look so smooth. The bishops can now come in with a check. This is horrendous for Chucky, you know, if you're a Chucky fan, unfortunately, but great play from Hans.
Yeah, he's made it look easy, as you guys said. He did the same to Aroni and a few other players. He's just very confident. I think it's the speed as well. It unsettles some of his opponents. Ivanchuk has tried to keep pace with Hans, but maybe it was worth slowing down a bit. There were a few critical moments earlier when those exchanges, those bishop for knight trades, everything, when all of those were happening. Maybe Ivanchuk should have just slowed down slightly. Now it just looks like push the pawns and you win.
Actually, David, you're right. This is like a rookie mistake that people make, especially on over-the-board tournaments. It's like, you know, your opponent plays super quickly, and for some reason you get carried away and you match the pace. And this is where mistakes happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite rare also for Chucky to get outplayed, you know, because he's so experienced. But he has been matching, as you say, Hans' speed, and that's not really like Chucky, you know. He needed to use that time a bit better, I think, to you know, work out the problems in the middle game. I'm not really sure where he's gone wrong. I say that. It's been such a beautiful game that I don't know where... there's no one mistake, and that's what makes the win even more impressive, that it's just been, you know, when you can't identify a mistake, it's smooth, very smooth. Kind of thing that Magnus Carlsen would very often do to his opponents, you know. Where did your opponent go wrong? No blunders, but you win.
Didn't Magnus say that was his favourite type of victory?
Yeah.
The kind where the opponent's like,
he did,
I did everything I could.
Yeah.
What did I do
wrong? Yeah. And maybe it's just those 2 bishops just came to life, right? I mean, it's the Berlin. I'm going to have to start... did I just say I'm going to have to start playing the Berlin? It's got the reputation as being one of the most boring openings, where the queens come off and you grind away. But it's a blooming good opening, the Berlin, isn't it, David? I mean, have you ever... No, you're Caro woman.
Yeah,
Super Caro woman.
I remember the Berlin from the World Championship match in 2016, though, and that was, well, I don't know if entertaining is the word, but it was tense.
And famously, 2000. This is when Kramnik used it. This is when it became popular against Garry Kasparov to become world champion. And I had a job there. I was £10 an hour showing people to the chairs in the stadium.
That's quite good.
£10 an hour was great in 2000.
Yeah.
I was rolling in it, you know, and I could watch the chess after I showed them to the chairs. Brilliant.
Fantastic,
But then they started playing the Berlin, and like, what the hell am I doing here? I'd rather be anywhere else.
It's a good way to frustrate white, just to make them... It feels like banging your head against the wall trying to break the Berlin. And I've had many kind of games when I've had black and my opponents have just got frustrated, overpressed. And it's a good counter-attacking opening. And, OK, Hans, meanwhile, pushing pawns. Really nice move, retreating his rook, offering a rook trade.
That's a brilliant move, because now his dark squared bishop is allowed to come in. You know, he's breaking the pin. And has Chucky resigned? Chucky has just resigned.
17 minutes, a smile, and he looks a little bit surprised, actually, Hans Niemann, but this is a fantastic result for the American 3 points. It's suddenly looking good for him to qualify. But for Ivanchuk, I think Ty said almost 0% to qualify if he loses this one.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, you know, just because I'm such a big Chucky fan, you know, I love the way he plays. I love his manner. I love everything about the guy. And, you know, he's out now, unfortunately. So, c'est la vie, but it's still sad.
It was another rather quick win, 35 moves and only 17 minutes for Hans Niemann. What happened here?
Yeah, just perfect play from Niemann throughout. A very solid opening. It seems like he was very well prepared, very familiar with the ideas, more so than Ivanchuk perhaps. And we saw the bishops versus the knights later on, and that was the deciding factor. Black had won a pawn before this, but the way Hans clinched it was very nice, very smooth. First, he pushed a pawn forward. This required some calculation because the white knight leapt to attack this bishop, and rather than move his bishop, he spotted that he could give a check first, kicking the white king further away from stopping these two very strong black pawns, and now he gained a bit more time by pushing his pawn forward. Some serious calculation needs to be done. For example, if the white knight moved this direction, attacking the black rook, then he could play the move he played in the game, dropping back, saving his bishop. There's no time to take it because of this connection, this tension with the rooks. The black bishop also defends the black rook, but we saw in the game, Chucky tried one last move. He blockaded the black pawns, but after this rook retreat, he resigned. This is a very important rook retreat. The bishop is attacked. If you go to the wrong square, then the white knight would have leapt in, and due to this pin, white would have had great chances. White would win the dark squared bishop. But the reason Chucky resigned after the rook stepped back is either he has to trade off rooks and go into a hopeless position due to these two strong black pawns, or he has to step back. If he moves his rook, then the black bishop will just move itself, and pressure on this knight, this pawn is dropping, and black's two pawns will eventually win the game.
All right, bad news for Ivanchuk. Now, these two, 17 points for Anish Giri. He is right outside the top 8 to qualify for knockouts currently before this round. And Pragg, he lost in the first round today, and 19 points. He is not 100% safe to qualify, so this is an important game. Very dark where Anish Giri is sitting. Electricity is expensive these days. What's happening in the game?
I like that. Do you think Anish is struggling a bit? You know, his chessboard courses have gone a bit stagnant. So
he needs to get to the knockouts to pay for that electricity. Yeah. Meanwhile, this one, we've joined it at a very tense moment. The computer says it's level. I'm inclined to say it's balanced chances as well. It's same number of pawns, pieces. But both sides have their advantages. Black's knights are nicely centralised. Black has the better pawn structure long-term because white's queenside pawns on the left side, they're isolated. But white's pieces over there, the white queen, the two white knights, they're very, very active. And there might be some threats. The black queen is running out of squares if you can attack her. So Pragg needs to be very careful. This one is, really, really tense so far.
Only one game finished so far in round 14, but let's take a look at the live standing situation for these two players as well. So Anish Giri in 9th place with 17 points, same score as Levon Aronian. These two are fighting hard for that crucial final place, and Praggnanandhaa is also in that fight with 19 points. So if Anish Giri wins this game, he will go past Praggnanandhaa, go up to 20 points. Pragg stuck on 19. Very important game, this one.
Yeah, really important.
Yeah.
And look how focused Giri is right now. He's just captured with a knight. His knight's looking great. What do you guys think? Whose position do you prefer?
I mean, it's getting to that 10th stage, isn't it, where it seems pretty balanced. But over the next couple of moves, you know, we'll certainly know. I mean, I kind of tend to agree with you that I quite like White's knights on the queen side, and White's pieces are a bit more active. But Black has that extra central pawn, so you could say his pawn structure is in the long term maybe a little bit better. White's pawns on the queen side, they're what we call split pawns, so they can't protect each other. They're like pawny no mates, you know, like is that even something? Or rather than pawn with mates when they're next to each other and they can look after each other. So I'd take White at the moment, I think, just because his piece activity.
Yeah, these pieces look great.
They do, yeah.
Not sure really what they're doing, but they look like they're on nice active squares.
They look good. And what about you, Jovanka? Would you take White or Black here?
I think in the long term I would take Black, but I mean, for the time being, isn't Black's queen about to get trapped?
Yeah.
You know, there's a threat of the bishop zooming in, attacking it, and then the knight will join in, and I just couldn't see too many squares, although there are some.
Also, this knight is going to fall if the queen moves away. Maybe the black knight could jump back and counter-attack against the white queen, but it's hanging by a thread. As you say, Jovanka, in the current position, this is a big threat, right?
Yep.
This bishop move. I'm inclined to think that OK, Pragg jumps in with his knight. I was going to say maybe retreating, attacking the queen, just kicking her away was the solid choice, but Pragg goes for something more ambitious, a fork, hitting the two rooks. This knight will be got rid of instantly. It'll be captured, and black will take back. And the question remains, do you trap this queen? If you can't, then black has the bishop pair. That seems to be the theme of the day. We've seen how good those bishops can be in the Niemann game. And yeah, I mean, it's still very tense. White has moves. I mean, for example, still this one, the black queen, not too many squares to run to. You could maybe make an argument for getting rid of the bishop pair. I just want to get those bishops off the board as quickly as possible, although maybe I've just blundered after a capture here. There is a fork. Whoops. So yeah, I mean, it looks like a very ambitious decision by Praggnanandhaa, jumping in with his knight. It's up to Giri.
That's one thing I kind of learnt from watching Prag's games and a lot of these youngster games is that they play so ambitiously. And I think that's something, you know, we can learn from, trying to improve. There's any young players out there who are trying to get better at chess. Try to play the most ambitious move you can. You know, don't try to go defensive. You can't play with any fear at all. He's getting the bishop pair this way, so if it does work, it's going to benefit him positionally. And he does this every time I see Pragg. He always goes for ambition, and it's, you know, it's quite admirable actually, because just no fear shown whatsoever.
Yeah.
And something I think we could all learn from, really.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
And one thing I've noticed with Pragg is that he is the king of counterattacks. You know, when we get a position like this where there's so many captures, threats, attacks possible, and we expect like a routine capture, there'll probably be an attack happening. And he just like maximizes the tension where possible. And I think that's because he just simply works so hard on calculation.
Yeah, you're right, Jovanka. I mean, even in that position, there wasn't necessarily an attack, but there was a type of threat. That white bishop going to attack the black queen, and he just meets it with a counter threat. Also, the black knight, which was on a loose square, is now just going to trade itself off for one of white's bishops. The black queen, her diagonal's been opened up, so if the white bishop goes to attack her, active ideas there. It's all about activity, and I never ever see these young players suffer in passive positions nowadays. In the past, when I played youngsters, I thought, OK, I can just push them into an endgame. They'll go passive. I'll slowly outplay them. But nowadays, they never allow that. They always seem to be on the front foot, always seem to be doing the attacking, creating the threats. Always it's their ideas which they can push because of their calculation, as you mentioned.
And one thing that kind of struck me is actually how ambitious these juniors are. You know, I saw someone say Pragg is deferential to Magnus, and I thought, that's not true. Have you even seen the games? I mean, we see someone who is playing actively, aggressively, and with a lot of confidence. And just take a look at how he's handling this type of position. And sorry, I got sidetracked by that tweet there. Will Anish Giri make it to the knockout here?
Well, if he loses,
Well,
if he loses,
he's out.
So it's really important, this game. You know,
Yeah.
he can't lose this game. Maybe he actually needs to win as well. So, you know, he's got a bad score against Pragg as well. So that's the other thing. Maybe not. Maybe he won't make it. Yeah.
Double check who he plays in the final round.
Erigaisi.
Oh.
Yeah, he was running the gauntlet of full youngsters, you know, Klima, Praggnanandhaa, and then Erigaisi.
Tough day.
It was a tough last round, final day pairings.
Yeah, especially since he knows these teenagers play this fearless chess. They just bring it all every time.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and he knows he needs to win either this or the next one. I don't think he can lose either of them, Anish Giri. We saw him with his trademark move without using his hands. That was a pre-move at that time, just a trade of rooks. And black's bishops, they're coming to life. We know how strong they can be.
Yeah. But interesting for Anish, this tournament, he mentioned it in the interview yesterday as well, joked with it. Only 5 draws, actually, out of the first 13 rounds.
Yeah.
He needs to bring his magic wand, doesn't he, today, to get things going. So.
Yeah.
Some Jedi chess.
Yeah, that's it.
Use the Force.
It was a bit of a low blow yesterday, that joke from Levon Aronian about the draws.
Yeah.
Giri reacted well to it, but I was, I know.
Were you nervous there would be some beef with those two in the live interview?
That's a sensitive topic with Anish, the draws.
I actually missed that. I actually missed what you said there.
Okay, so we had these drawings of Anish. We showed it. It was both Anish and Levon in the interview at the same time. And some viewers had made these beautiful drawings of Anish. We showed it to him. And then Levon jumped in and he said, what was the comment?
Oh, he said, look, you're drawing and they're making drawings of you. And Anish was like, well, yeah, and I'm aware of the joke. Thank you very much.
And then he said, the problem in this tournament is that I'm not having enough draws. I need to get back to my drawing. Yeah.
I mean, the
irony.
The draw jokes of Anish have been going on for years.
It's so unfair.
He's actually a very exciting player, and you know he obviously does draw, but all the top players draw.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at the stats, he doesn't draw more than the other players, not as far as I've seen.
And never quick draws either.
No, he pushes.
Fights.
He's a fighter, so it's a bit unfair, I think. But
I think it was just one tournament, one candidates tournament where he drew all 14 games, but that can happen. He was winning half of them. It's just that killer instinct. When he gets it, he's probably one of the best players in the world.
And there is also that quote, right, that he is maybe the hardest player in chess to beat.
Yeah.
Therefore, all the draws, even harder than Magnus Carlsen.
In over-the-board classical chess, he's almost impossible to beat. He loses maybe only a handful of games per year.
There were some good jokes, though, weren't there? It's like, who's his favourite singer, rapper? 50%. It was like, which I thought was quite amusing. It's like they were going on and on. Poor guy had to read all of these ones. And it was like, oh, poor.
His nickname is the artist because he likes to draw.
Yeah, it was like, you know.
But okay, those jokes. Overused.
Not fair, yes.
Yeah, totally not fair.
He is a fighter, Anish Giri, as well. 3 minutes on the clock for him. He's played slow in this one. 7 minutes still for Pragg.
Yeah, the clock could be a factor because it's still a bit loose, White's position. It's still in the balance, but Black has the bishop pair, long-term advantage, better pawn structure, and I don't really know what that White knight is doing all the way on a7 in the Black camp. He needs to step back, essentially. It's a bit offside right now. And yeah, this is the type of position where, especially when Pragg has more pawns in front of his king and the opponent has a bit less shelter, I always see Pragg somehow whip up a kingside attack. He just seems to be masterful at doing that, so I'm a bit afraid for Anish Giri. Anish, he would love to just kind of re-coordinate his pieces right now, re-centralize them, get control again, but it's not easy to do so with White. Despite the evaluation bar saying it's balanced, I think I'd take Black, to be honest. Just no weaknesses in Black's camp, simply.
You're right. I mean, the only problem was this queenside play that White had, but it hasn't got anywhere, has it?
Yeah.
I mean, the knight might just be misplaced, as you pointed out, and yeah, I mean, it's looking a little bit dangerous for Anish now. He needs to come up with a plan here, and I'm not really sure what he should be doing. Again, it's like quite tricky. I bring that knight back into the middle that he's moved over to the edge. You don't want to leave your pieces on the edge of the board, and just try and improve my pieces would be the first thing I'd be thinking of here. Maybe I could bring my dark squared bishop in to try to control the open file. That's one benefit that White has. White has this rook on this open line. That is good. It's great to have a rook on the open line. And I don't really want Black to put a rook there to start exchanging off and get into an ending where the two bishops could come to life. So I'm thinking, what does my opponent want to play? And OK, he's gone for something completely different here. And maybe this is also wise, trying to get rid of that weak pawn. That is a weak pawn in some respects.
I like your move, Simon. Plant the bishop on the square, control the squares the rook wants to move. But OK, I guess he's got a concrete idea of pushing forward one more square as well. So if Black just makes a kind of nothing move, then this looks decisive, actually. The pawn is running through to make a new queen, and if you exchange, then a nasty fork. And not just a fork, but also a potential skewer after some exchanges. Yeah, so big threat on the board.
It's a nice idea, actually, isn't it? Yeah. That is a nice play.
So if this is the threat, how does Pragg stop it? I mean, I guess you could try and exchange rooks, but maybe that doesn't stop the threat. I guess you could maybe bring your queen out. Does that stop the threat with a pin?
I think it does, doesn't it?
Potentially. Yeah, I mean, this looks like a nice... I mean, we talked about this piece being the problem for Black, how it nearly got trapped a few moves ago, but now suddenly it can centralize. And, yeah, due to this pin, White can't push the c-pawn.
And also kind of puts into operation your kind of idea of perhaps attacking on the right.
Yeah, the king... I just noticed it's lacking defenders. Black's king has plenty of defenders around it. But, yeah, I mean, I'm struggling to find a move for White. Maybe the idea is to kick the queen away, but then the queen can just move somewhere. I'm not sure which square, this one, or maybe this one in the side, just to eye up this rook, which is slightly loose. It does look good for Black, but the evaluation bar are not impressed at all. So maybe it's not as powerful as we think. I mean, this looks natural, at least, this move. Maybe you could also make an argument for dropping the bishop back, kicking the white queen, forcing her to retreat somewhere. She has to keep protecting this really weirdly placed knight.
Also looks good. I must admit, I like your queen move the best.
Yeah, looks lovely that as well. I mean, I'm with you, Dad. I look at my opponent's king. It's only got one bishop around it. Let's move the big boys in to harass it a little bit. And I love the idea of just bringing the queen nearer to my opponent's king. Threats might build up. And the other thing we've got to consider here is the time situation. Anish has 1 minute 40 and Prag has 5 minutes, and it's not got complicated yet, but at some stage, because there's so many pieces on the board, I can see tactics just coming to life, and you need your time to calculate those tactics then. So, OK, this is also on the radar, just trying to make some exchanges, centralise the bishop. Also, I think a good positional move there.
But wait 1 second, it doesn't deal with a threat.
This is true. White's c-pawn could step forward. What is Prag's idea there? I mean, it's the type of move that might throw Giri off balance. It's a very surprising jump in with the knight. But yeah, maybe you're right, Jovanka. Let's dive into the position, because it's about to heat up and Giri needs to go for something now before it's too late on the clock. The black knight jumped in, and what happens if White continues with his plan? We could see a knight exchange, but I was about to say queen takes knight.
No.
But
there's another option.
You push the pawn.
Push your pawn, hit the queen. Oof, if the queen has to move, you can just step back. OK, he's played it. You can step back now and take the knight, and then make a queen on the next move. And suddenly this knight does not look misplaced at all. It looks like the winning piece supporting this square. Wow. Do you think Prag has missed this? Do you think after knight takes knight, he's forgotten that the pawn is going to step forward?
Well, he didn't react.
Well, he can flick in a check, can't he? But, I mean, I don't see it really helping that check at all, actually. I mean, how does that help? Yeah, it doesn't help.
Knight is trapped. The pawn is still going to promote.
This is good news for Anish fans, I think. I mean,
very good news.
You know, very clever idea moving that c-pawn, and this is what we need to see Anish do more. Like, you know, go proactive, and he's done it in this game. And I was surprised that Prag actually allowed the move that was coming up anyway.
Yeah, I have a feeling he just forgot about this intermediate move, what we call a Zwischenzögern, and rather than the automatic recapture, which I almost suggested, and I think I would assume my opponent wanted to play, he just forgot that White could ignore that first and go for something. It's what Jovanka mentioned, the counterattack. And Prag is the king of counterattack, so surprising if he missed that. The fact that he stopped now to think means he's most likely miscalculated something. You just have to get rid of this pawn, though, at some point. And Prag's starting to look frustrated. Maybe the only move is to capture this pawn, but it looks very shaky, as we mentioned. This does allow a nasty double attack, another fork. Oof. Suddenly, Giri, the big favourite in this game.
Wow. Yeah, I was just checking the computer lines, and I can see that pawn takes pawn, only move to survive. Wow, everything else is going to lose.
I mean, it looks like that loses material to me, pawn takes pawn, with a similar line that David demonstrated earlier, that you take everything off and you move your bishop to the square that's mentioned. How does...
at the moment, the black knight covers this square just about, so I guess after a trade of knights, the white bishop coming in, maybe black can pin.
And win.
Oh, pin and win. Yeah, oh, hello.
And nasty checkmate threat. So
yeah, it didn't work out too well.
OK, he found the only move. He had to take this pawn. He had to get that white pawn off the board. And we now reach this position. The black queen did indeed move to defend her bishop. And, OK, still some hard work to be done for Anish Giri.
And that's been a little bit of a problem for him, right? To get the ball in the back of the net in these games where he has an advantage.
Yeah, he often sets up... I mean, his understanding is fantastic, Anish Giri, one of the best, kind of, I think, most talented players around. But, yeah, just that killer instinct. Sometimes he takes the passive approach or the safe approach. And, I mean, we've all done it from time to time. But at the very top level, to beat the top dogs, you have to take some risks.
Yeah, often that's involved taking the queens off. So is it very important for now for Anish to keep the queens on the board?
Yeah, if the queens disappear in this game, it's just going to be a draw. So he needs to somehow keep the queens on. We see a knight exchange, and yeah, that move you wanted to play, Simon, if it worked, it would be winning for Anish, but unfortunately, there's a reply for black.
He needs a good move now, because, as you say, David, he's made a lot of exchanges. He's simplified the position greatly, and I like this good centralising move, and he might be the one who can now pressurise black's king, and also he's threatening that move and the bishop.
Yeah,
So,
purpose.
and there's some little tricks here. I mean, black would love to move the bishop to a square where it's defended by a pawn in the middle of the board, but things like this, as hopefully at home you can see there's a little idea here that white has. Yeah. Well, it's quite a big idea, really. Not
Rook takes bishop.
That's a big idea.
You make the fact, you make use of the fact that the pawn is pinned, so the pawn cannot recapture because then the black queen would drop behind it. Yeah, as you mentioned, Simon, there's multiple threats in the current position. If the bishop moves back this way, now this is valid. This is a skewer, and you win either the black queen or the black rook. How else can you defend against both of these?
Well, the only move that I can see is maybe just use the queen as a defensive piece and line it up on the same diagonal. Yeah. But then again, I am super worried for black because, you know, we say in these opposite colour bishop middle games like this, is that the person with the momentum, the person who's attacking is the one who's going to have the advantage. And I'm afraid of moves like the rook coming up the board, attacking the bishop, and then kind of swinging over to the G line.
Hoping for this trick.
Yep.
A checkmate threat, and you hit the bishop at the same time. OK, Pragg, wow, he's so clever. He's just found a different solution. This looked very scary for black. Instead, he drops his bishop the whole way back, and he's the king of the counterattack, as you mentioned. He's walking into this skewer willingly. Looks like he's blundered, but here he can counterattack by bringing his queen across. We're going to see this actually happen on the board, and suddenly black is the one threatening checkmate on this square. It's, the opposite colour bishops playing havoc. All these tactics now in the air. I think white just has to block. White just has to push a pawn forward. This diagonal was too scary, so you have to push a pawn forward, and still the threat remains against... Oh, sorry, my arrows. The threat remains against this black rook. Yeah, the rook will move, though, and Pragg has survived the worst. The game is balanced again.
Yep, I agree. I mean, there is only one passed pawn in Anish's favour, and that's the A pawn. He's just centralising his queen there, taking more squares. But I think it's white who can push this position a bit. I mean, if you could imagine that pawn on the left-hand side of the board just running up the board, running all the way to the top, it could become a queen, and I would have thought he's going to start moving that now. So, yeah. But black is so solid here, and black can exchange queens probably at some point, and that looks like a draw is very likely, right?
But Giri under 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, now he's playing for the draw, Giri. He's trying to get the queens off.
This is just panic, because of the time control. But it was a complicated position. I was thinking he should just maybe run with the A pawn and see how far up the board it would go.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose I don't mind this decision so much because you are very short of time. If the queens come off, you can play a lot quicker. There's a lot less tricks on the board. So I think this is understandable, this move, but it could also be a little bit negative, step in the wrong direction. Pragg got enough time on his clock to... I mean, can he keep the queens on?
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
If he wants to win, and we know Pragg is such a fighter that, well, there's only one square the queen can go to. It has to step back if he wants to win.
But Pragg doesn't need to win. He's safe. I would capture that and then stop the A pawn from advancing, and that's what Pragg has done.
And he's going straight for the draw. Yeah. He wants to get out of this game. He swapped off the rooks as well. And the reason we reacted is because opposite colour bishops in this scenario, it's just a dead draw. Black will blockade on the light squares and no way through. Level pawns. Yeah, Anish, if he doesn't win the next game, maybe he'll regret this last couple of decisions. Now he will be in a complete must-win scenario in the final round. He will need to win and hope that it will be enough. You can see the players' body language as well. Both of them, suddenly the tension disappeared. Pragg just leant back, and it's going to be a draw any moment. Opposite colour bishops.
All right, that means Pragg will go up to 20 points, and it's looking very good for him to qualify for the knockout stage. For Anish Giri, it's going to go down to the last round in the preliminaries to qualify. He will have to win that game.
Yeah, and you can see his face. He's not too happy, Anish. And this one is a dead draw now. Nothing to be done. Look how white is blockaded on the dark squares. They're just going to repeat moves, and there we go, a draw confirmed.
It is a draw. Anish Giri, he had chances to win in this game with the white pieces, but eventually a draw. So, David, where was it that Anish went wrong here?
Yeah, he had chances, as you mentioned there, Kaja, but Anish, he went wrong by trading off all those pieces. We saw this position. We were actually quite liking White's chances, and he played a natural move here, Anish. Maybe a move I would have played as well. He captured the knights, traded them off, but Prag found some nice resources to defend. The best winning attempt would have been to keep as many pieces on the board as possible, and the computers show that actually dropping the white knight back was the best winning attempt. This black bishop is out of the game temporarily. The white knight might come forward and capture it. Also, it's all about this white pawn. If you can march it up the board just a few more squares, there's going to be great winning chances. It will tie down all of black's pieces. I'm not saying this is a win for white, but maybe a small advantage and chances, at least to keep tension, at least to make the opponent go wrong. Instead, he started by trading off the knights, and as we saw, the rooks came off, the queens came off, and that forced the draw.
Whew. He must be feeling nervous now, Anish, Giri. These two, 20 points for Vincent Keimer and 25 points for Eric Eisy, who's been playing fantastic in this tournament. They look quite safe to qualify. I'm not 100% sure for Vincent Keimer. In this game, though, the bar is over to his side. I've actually seen it been even more up for him. Playing a good game here, the German.
Yeah, he's a classy player, Vincent. Also, he's in an endgame. He's very strong in the endgame, guided by his coach, Peter Lecco. He's a pawn up in this position, and he's going after a second pawn, the black g-pawn. Looks very scary for black. I'm surprised, actually, it's only 1.6 here, the computer, because it looks like white might win a second pawn, and that would be the game. What do you guys think? Defensive chances for Eric Eisy?
I do think that there are defensive chances because it looks like it's super simple to win the pawn, but I'm not sure it is. I think that black is somehow clinging on to those two pawns.
Yeah, one of them is attacked, the pawn in front of the black king, so it moves. This is the only safe square. If it had only moved one square, the white rook would have come across in front of the black king with a check and won the pawn. But now the white knight is going to jump in with a check. OK, he goes for a pin, Vincent. Black needs to get out of this pin ASAP, as quickly as possible.
Yep.
There we go, with a check. And now the black knight is able to retreat. And, OK, Vincent is going to continue harassing that black knight. The reason I'm so sceptical about black's saving chances is this knight just has no stable squares. This black knight is getting kicked around the board. If you can trade off the two knights right now without changing the black pawn structure, then maybe some chances, but this way.
Wait 1 second. This is just begging white to pin. And how would that work out? Or is it just better just to kind of not take your eyes off the prize and instead go for the pawns? No, he chooses to pin the knight. This was also my first reaction, but then I thought, well, hang on a second, this might be a big distraction.
Yeah, now this check, the black king has to move. He's trying to check the black king away from its pawns.
Got to be careful where you move the king.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you go the wrong way, it's checkmate in one move. So you've got to give your king enough air to breathe.
Gotta take a step back.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can show that checkmate and a couple of other checkmates that could occur. Rook and knight are quite a fearsome attacking duo. What do you think, guys? Actually, what's this checkmate called? The rook coming across.
It looks like a hook mate.
A hook mate. Never heard of that before. The hook checkmate.
No.
The king trapped.
The hooker checkmate.
I was thinking boxing.
Yeah, maybe the hook, yeah.
And if the king had gone the other way, then you've got to be careful. Don't go into the corner. This is the...
Arabian.
Arabian checkmate.
Oh, the first one.
That's the one. That's the, yeah.
And meanwhile, the rooks actually have come off the board with that last couple of moves, and Vincent is winning now because he's about to win a second pawn. If we catch up with the game, the rooks are off, and this pawn is indefensible. You can't guard it, and 2 pawns in a knight endgame is enough to win. Yeah, so Vincent, after this knight move, can take the pawn immediately, or he can just kind of push a pawn forward, stop any nasty knight checks. Okay, he does take the pawn, and yeah, eventually this pawn will get traded off, swapped off, or it will disappear from the board and white will win. Still some work to be done.
Very important win as well. I mean, we know that Arjun has already qualified, but Vincent is one of the, in that group of, needing to win a game or two. And this I'd imagine, without knowing the stats totally, puts Vincent in a very likely position to qualify. Maybe he has. And
yeah, I think then he will be qualified.
And he's it's good to see him. I think Vincent seems just like a very rounded and good player and person as well. So I played him once in Vienna. It was one of the most amazing tournament probably the best tournament venue I played in. It was in the town hall in Vienna, where the tournament was taking place, and it's just a beautiful building. And yeah, I faced Vincent and ended in a draw. My position started to go wrong, and I punted a draw offer, showing how scared I was. And luckily, he took it. So I don't normally offer draws, so he had me scared. But yeah.
How old was he? Because he's very young.
5.5, maybe.
17 now.
No, he was a bit older than that. I don't know how old he was. He was very talented, and already people were talking about him being the next big thing. But yeah, Vienna Town Hall, what a place to play. You know, it's a brilliant building. So just trying to think the best place you've played chess. I mean, can anyone beat Vienna Town Hall?
Chennai must have been really cool this year in the Olympiad with all the interest from the fans.
Yeah,
Chennai was nice.
Yeah, Chennai was nice, but in terms of venue, I wouldn't say it was nice. It was great and was very practical, but wasn't like your crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling.
You should have had it at the Taj Mahal, you know.
Oh, that would be
Well, you
stunning.
played that great match against Nils Grandelius at was it the Swedish Embassy?
Yeah, that's
in
right.
London. That looked really nice.
Really nice building. Yeah, there's some great buildings out there. St. Louis Chess Club's pretty nice as well. I love it there.
Yeah, but Vienna Town Hall.
You win,
Beautiful.
Simon.
Yeah.
It's nice. That one. Just that
Simpsons
town
on the
hall.
Strand, I think, maybe.
Simpson Strand's nice as well, but you know, you can. Yeah, it was good. It doesn't beat the Crypt in London, you know, the Ginger Jam party event. So
No.
that's,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Coming up soon.
Coming up soon, indeed.
And meanwhile, this one's still being prolonged. Erigaisi's doing the right thing. He's trying to battle on, trying to fight. But Vincent's found the perfect square for his knight now. The black knight is permanently tied down defending this pawn. You can literally never stop defending this pawn. And the white king can start coming around. You could even just trade off black's remaining pawn by stepping forward.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Vienna, the town hall? Or,
No.
You know, it's an amazing Vienna town hall. I mean, just as I keep saying, but I just hope it comes back, the chess event there. So, you know, they haven't done it for a while. So, yeah, anyway.
On my list.
On your list, yeah.
On my list.
Get there.
Vienna. Not play there, wouldn't be invited, but to watch.
Oh, but that's the beauty of those big opens. You don't need to be invited. You can just go there, enjoy the place, play some chess in the evening.
And the thing is, when you step out of the town hall, they had this wine festival going on as
Okay,
well.
well, that's where I'll be.
That was the best part of Vienna Town Hall.
I like it.
Anyway, enough of Vienna Town Hall. Let's move on. I'm just picturing the beautiful place there. You know, go back there one day.
And a beautiful game here by Vincent Keimer. Two teenagers in the tournament. Arjun Ergaisi, he's only lost 2 games so far. One of them against Magnus Carlsen and against Jan-Krzysztof Duda. About to lose the third one against Vincent Keimer. What a game by the young German to secure a spot in the quarterfinals.
Yep, perfect technique so far from Vincent. He's improved the white knight, centralized it, defended it with a pawn on a nice outpost. He's improved the white king, and the final step will be the breakthrough. How do you win black's remaining pawn, or how do you make more progress? Okay, he gives a check. I was going to say, at the very least, you can step forward white's f-pawn, trade off black's remainder there, and the 2 white pawns together will be enough. But Vincent wants more. Okay, he gave a check. Is he going to try and get in with the white king somehow? It doesn't look easy at the moment for the white king to move towards that black pawn. Some squares are covered. What would you guys do in a situation like this? You know you're winning. It's a 100% guaranteed win if you don't blunder one of your pawns with white.
I'd be tempted to push my f-pawn and make an exchange of pawns. Maybe centralise my knight first.
Yeah.
But as I've learned from you, David, you should probably try everything else first before you push that pawn. So I might...
Exactly.
You know, I've got to learn from this guy,
Exactly.
you know.
Try and get the most. You know, you've got that pawn there that's up for grabs. And, you know, I've changed my... You know, sometimes when I have, like... When I play chess or I look at chess, I kind of have certain tunes in my head. And at the minute, the one that's in my tune with regard to that weak pawn is the Dreadlock Holiday. Do you know, it goes, I like it, I want it. You don't know the song?
I don't know that song, no.
OK.
I mean, sing it a bit more. Just, it might come into my mind.
I want it. It's like this. Da, 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 da.
OK.
I don't like cricket, that song. I don't like cricket.
I love it.
Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah, okay.
I like it. I want it.
Do you reckon that's going through Vincent's head right now?
I'm sure it is. I'm sure he's got some version of that. But anyway, look at that. Look, he wants it.
he's manoeuvring his knight around. I'm not really sure where it's going. It's maybe going back to the centre, but it was there, what, 6-7 moves ago? He's just enjoying the position, I think, Vincent, gaining a bit of time on the clock.
He's going to play 49 moves and move that pawn, isn't he? David, he can hear you. He's doing it for you, David.
I would be very proud
if
he were to do that. OK, he's using his knight. He's trying to find the perfect angle before pushing any of his white pawns.
I guess one thing you can do when your opponent can't do anything is just think, if I can move that knight and just take it off the board, what square do I want it on? And he's just finding that square and he's just getting there bit by bit. It's quite a handy way to manoeuvre your pieces, actually. Just look at a square somewhere and try to get it there.
Yeah, this might be the perfect square he's found now. He's forcing the black knight away from its defensive post.
Yeah.
The black knight either has to go to the edge of the board on this side or he has to go to the top of the board. You can't allow a knight exchange. White had 2 extra pawns.
I mean, that knight can't move now. I mean, it's very tempting to push the pawn here because the black knight is well... It's...
Steady on.
Oh, sorry.
Simon,
I was a little bit quick there. So...
You're getting too hasty.
I know. Yeah, I've got to remember this. What would David do? I've just got to have this going through my mind, you know? So don't rush, Simon. Don't rush. Enjoy yourself.
WWDD. What would
WWDD.
What would David do?
Oh, right. OK, got it. Yeah. What would David do? Yeah.
No, I'm joking. What would Vincent do? That's the question you should be asking yourself.
No. What would David do? It's definitely.
It's been a long game, 78 moves, and all games in round 15, final round in the preliminaries, will start at the same time. So everyone is waiting for this game to finish, and then 10 minutes before the start of that final round.
Now, Simon, now push that pawn. Now the black knight is so far away.
And that pawn is running through to become a queen surely soon.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 pawns against none. Well, I mean, I'd be pretty confident of winning that.
Yeah.
And
I guess there is one check. The black knight will jump back and check the white king. It's going to try and get towards those white pawns, but yeah, it feels like Vincent... OK, I was going to say should do it before he gets too confused. Now the black knight can at least centralise itself. Yeah, it feels like that was probably the perfect moment he set up with some nice manoeuvres.
It's taking his time.
It's taking his time.
It really is, you know, so...
He just wants everyone else in the tournament, their nerves to jangle a little bit before that final round of the prelims.
Yeah. Or maybe, just maybe, he's trying to break some records.
I just seeing a tweet here.
Yeah, it's the Rathaus.
The Rat, yeah, that is right. I do remember it, or Vienna Town Hall, the Rathaus.
Yeah. I wonder if you'll get tweeted by the Austrian embassy now. Popular man doing some publicity for their tourism.
Yeah.
King steps back, the knight has to move away. Maybe, actually, how about that knight goes and attacks some pawns?
Yeah, I suppose the knight then comes forward. I mean, it's White's idea just to really ostracise the black knight as much as he can, push it away. Because I guess generally when you're trying to defend this position, you want your knight near to your king, you know, because your knight can your king can guard your knight. And I think what Vincent's idea is just push it away, you know, as far as he can before trying to advance. But he's gonna have to advance that pawn at some point, right? I mean, you know.
Yeah.
And OK, that knight's again trying to get back with a check at the right time. I expect White will just move his king back 1 square now, probably.
That makes a lot of sense. You know, the knight is really offside.
Trying to keep it.
And what about now? The knight is totally offside. OK, sorry. I did not learn.
I know. How many moves to it? Could he stumble into a 50-move draw?
Oh, that would be tragic.
Yeah, I mean, that's when you push it a little bit too much, right? So
let me check the last pawn push. OK, it wasn't that one.
Oh,
it was on move 65.
It's coming now. I predict it.
You predict? No.
Yeah, because look at that knight. That's totally offside.
No.
Now.
Shall we guess what move he's going to... You reckon move 66? I'm going to go for...
No, it's 80. 86. Oh, yes. Patience.
Patience is a virtue.
Yes.
Yeah, he waited 21 moves before pushing a pawn.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Kind of self-control, Vincent. But you guys are right, Jovanka. I mean, that black knight is just so far sidelined right now. It's off in no man's land.
I mean, Arjun has already qualified comfortably. So you know what I'd do now? Anyone want to have a guess? What move, what high-level move I would do in this situation?
New catchphrase, Simon.
I would resign. Yeah, so I guess you should never resign.
He's defended very well, Arjun. I thought his defences would have reached breaking point before this, but he's still alive.
Yeah.
And maybe some threats now. if the white knight is a bit unstable, the black knight will come and check the white king away.
Yeah, he's doing well. But now the black pawn seems very weak as well, though, because the black pawn, the king is going to struggle to defend that pawn. So white's knight is coming around to attack that pawn. And yeah, I mean, nothing's really changed that much, has it? I mean, still winning easily.
Yeah.
The black king's on a really unfortunate square as well, because that knight, if it goes to where the white king is, it will check the king, but also attack black's pawn. So, yeah, I think resigning is not such a bad option.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no way the white knight can even go up to the h7 square and then come back and gobble up that black pawn. That black pawn has just no defense, no way to keep it on the board anymore. So if you find a safe square for your king, just step back, attack that knight maybe, then it will be a 3-pawn advantage soon as well.
Yeah.
This one is a matter of a couple more moves, I think we'll see, and then Arjun will resign. Once that black pawn disappears, I think then he'll call it a day and move on to the next one.
Yeah. In the final round, I can check who they play. It's...
Aragaisi plays Giri.
Aha. And he plays Magnus Carlsen. Yeah, on fire, heading into that round.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I mean,
third pawn.
Just resign, my friend.
He's got an idea. He wants to go and attack one of white's pawns, maybe with this black knight.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Still not easy to go 3 pawns up.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Still very tricky guy.
Yeah,
He's so strong, isn't he, Aragaisi? I mean, like, both these players are so strong, but I'm so impressed by, you know, just how he's played so far in this tournament.
Very resilient, yeah.
Very resilient, yeah. I mean,
and now the question is, can you go and take this pawn? I think you can.
I think you can, and then push your pawn, right?
Yeah. White's pawns are just too strong. Do it now. He has 3 pawns up.
Time to get a queen, I feel, here.
And push Freddy.
Yeah.
Yep.
There we go. Marches forward. That pawn is going to cost black his knight. Now, at the very least, the white knight can step back, give a check, and use your pawns hand in hand. Push them all together. Don't just push one and forget the rest.
He looks ready to resign. Aragaisi, will he do that in his next move?
Any moment now. Still going.
Still trying.
Still trying.
Trying to reach move 100.
Yeah. This is good, though. I mean, if white does blunder one of the pawns, black has some small chances of giving up his knight for the remaining white pawns. If all of the white pawns disappear, draw. But, yeah, the problem is you can't sacrifice your black knight for all of them. Maybe for one, not for all 3.
He's tricky, isn't he? You know,
tricky. Oh, OK.
Oh, hang on a second.
One pawn disappears.
The white king is so dominant now. And I think a very clever idea from white, actually, just to start using the king. It was double pawn anyway. Move the king forwards, push Gary the G pawn, get a queen.
He only has 10 seconds left making that move.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be enough, though. You have to be slightly careful.
Yeah.
Still some tricks in the position.
Knights are crafty. Never underestimate them. And, OK, I'm presuming there's going to be a check.
Yeah, this is a good way of getting rid of the blockader. Black's knight was the blockader, so just try and trade it off. You can bully your opponent with all these exchanges when you have extra pawns, extra material, and Vincent leans back. He knows he's about to win. This pawn will cost black his knight, and we have a result.
Yeah, I could have saved 5 minutes of our life there, couldn't he, by just resigning. I'm only joking.
It's over. A great win for Vincent Keimer. Final round in the preliminaries coming up in 10 minutes. Many players are now fighting to qualify. One of them is Levon Aronian, and in the final round he plays Ivanchuk. Doesn't look like he will qualify for the knockout stage, so we will enjoy for the last time in the Julius Baer Generation Cup to follow the genius Vasil Ivanchuk in this game. It all starts in about 10 minutes. So before that starts, we're gonna learn a little bit more of chess. In the previous round, Magnus Carlsen won another great game. And here is today's Lisoveta learning point.
We We've seen a few knight endgames today, and knight endgames are tricky. They are extremely hard to evaluate. Often, though, the trick is to evaluate them the same as you would in a king and pawn endgame. Imagine the knights are off the board. Often the evaluation is the same. But Magnus Carlsen, we know he's an endgame expert, and here with black, he milked out an advantage from a position that was seemingly a dead draw. White went a bit wrong here, pushing this pawn forward. The key to draw was to actually dislodge the black knight to kick this one away. Once the black knight disappears, you might be able to get rid of this very important black b pawn, but he pushed the wrong pawn here. He did not spot that black can start getting his pieces active. That's the next trick. That's the next key in any endgame. Get active. The black king defended its pawn, and after the white king tried to do the same, the black knight came in. And this pawn is a goner, as we saw. White tried desperately to defend it, but the black king is the key piece. The black king came in as soon as the black king and knight doubled up against this poor white pawn. It dropped off the board, and we saw, after it disappeared, the black b pawn was the winner. Even giving up a few pawns himself, Magnus Carlsen, he banked everything on pushing this guy forward, and it later won him the game. The black pawn went through to promote to a queen.
Another fantastic win by Magnus Carlsen. Let's take a look at the results from round 14. We did have a few decided games. First of all, Anish Giri, a draw in a game against Praggnanandhaa where it looked like Anish could be winning to get all 3 points. Levon Aronian played a draw against Ivan Saric. As we saw, Hans Niemann, a win against Ivanchuk. 3 very important points for Niemann, 0 points for Ivanchuk. David Navarra, he got a win against Jan-Krzysztof Duda. Navarra is also one of the players fighting to qualify. It was a draw between Gelfand and Liam Le. Christopher Yu, the young one, 15 years old. A win for him against Adiban, 3 points. Magnus Carlsen winning his 4th game in a row against Wojtacek. And as we saw, Vincent Keimer against Arjun Erigaisi, a great win for the Germans. So now, these are the standings with only 1 round to go. Magnus Carlsen on 31 points. Actually, if he wins in the next round, he will actually have the biggest score ever in this season of the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour, gained in the preliminaries. I mean, Magnus has been incredible so far in this tournament.
And it could have been more.
Yeah.
Magnus has been on fire in the games he's played.
Yeah. Erigaisi, safe to qualify, 25 points. Keimer now, 23. What a performance by the young German. Liam Lea should also be safe. Hans Niemann now in 5th place with 21 points. And remember, if he ends up in 4th or 5th place, Magnus will definitely take 1st place. They will be on the same side of the bracket and can face each other in the semi-final. Praggnanandhaa and Duda now both on 20 points, 2 points behind them. Now inside top 8 is David Navarra. And we now again have Christopher Yu in that 9th place, right outside top 8. 4 players on 18 points. Levon Aronian and Anish Giri is also in that battle. So let's check in with Ty. With 4 players, Ty, on 18 points. Is it between these 4 players to take that final spot in the knockouts?
Pretty much, yes. They're not playing against each other, so there's a couple scenarios where Pragg and Duda aren't completely safe. If all of them win and get to 21, Pragg and Duda are still sitting on 20. So there's a small chance that 2 of them could get in if something unlikely happens, but for the most part, it's those 4 all of them battling for that 8th spot. And the model, based on a combination of who they're playing in the last round and the tie breaks, thinks it's mostly Navarra and Aronian that have the realistic chances. But they're all in it.
Okay. And I'll check. For Pragg and Duda, will they be okay with just a draw, just a point in the final game?
As far as I can tell, a draw is fine for them. They just need something to hold off that 18 crowd. And even then, they have good chances even with a loss. It's just if that group of players on 18, if a bunch of them start winning, suddenly the loss becomes dangerous for Pragg and Duda. A draw should be fine.
And for these 4 players on 18 points then, one of them at least will be safe with at least a draw, maybe even with a loss here. Who is in a must-win situation among those 4?
Well, they're all in a must-win situation because assuming one of them wins, the other three would be eliminated with a draw or a loss. If none of them win, we could get some weird tiebreak scenarios. But they all have to assume with that big of a group that one of the others will probably win. Therefore, they also have to win to keep pace.
Now, I also see slight chances for the young one, 15-year-old Christopher Yu, and the legend Ivanchuk. I mean, I understand they have to win, and I guess they're also dependent maybe on those players on 18 points losing. Will all of them have to lose?
For Ivanchuk, I think so, yeah, because he's on 16. So if he wins, he passes that group to get to 19, but then he probably gets leapfrogged by anyone who's scoring points. I'm not 100% sure if he might have tiebreak somewhere, but the 3.9% suggests probably not. Christopher Yu is one of the players on 18. His odds are just lower because of a combination of matchups. His lower rating gives him less chances of being the one to win, and also the model factors in tiebreaks, which I have not had enough time to parse myself, so I'm not sure if that means he has bad tiebreaks or if it's just that the model's super pessimistic about his result. But a win gets him to 21 points and should be a pretty good scenario.
Interesting. Now, finally, Ty, Hans Niemann is now on 21 points. We now know Magnus will definitely win the preliminary, so he will face number 8. So what are the chances now? It's going to be a quarterfinal with Magnus and Niemann. It's looking not so likely anymore, I guess.
Not very likely. It can only happen if Niemann loses to Duda, which Duda's 94% to qualify if they draw that game, and probably strategically it's worth being happy with a draw for Duda. He's actually in some risk if he loses. So it's unlikely that Duda has any incentive to fight for a win. Niemann is already clinched. So if they do just draw each other, then Niemann is guaranteed to finish higher than 8th.
All right.
But if Niemann loses that game, he could still drop to 8th place. I have about a 12% chance if he loses.
Wow. Ty, as always, very nice to have your insight. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Great to see you as always.
Likewise. Wow, it's getting close. Final round. These are the games in that round 15. Anish Giri against Arjun Erigaisi. Magnus Carlsen now against Vincent Keimer, coming from that great win. Liam Lie against Christopher Yu with a slight chance to qualify. The 15-year-old David Navarra right inside top 8 as of right now. He faces Boris Gelfand. Hans Niemann against Jan-Krzysztof Duda, both inside top 8. It's Prague against Ivan Saric and Levon Aronian against Ivanchuk. 3% chance for Ivanchuk to qualify for the knockout stage. It's not very likely, so we will enjoy another game with Ivanchuk. He is playing from inside Ukraine. He is a man under 60 years old, not allowed to leave Ukraine, so playing from inside a country who is attacked by Russia at war. We hope he stays safe. What a player he is. These are the 16 players in the Julius Baer Generation Cup. After this game, 8 of them will leave us, and 8 will go through to the quarterfinals. Levon Aronian, he probably needs to win, and he is ready to fight with the white pieces against a legend in chess. One of the players that Levon probably respects the most in chess.
Yeah, an inspiration to everyone, I think, but also for Levon. He was making it into the elite when Ivanchuk is already very established, and they've faced each other countless times, some real mammoth battles, and both players in a must-win situation, pretty much. That is going to only add to the entertainment. So, Aronian, what type of strategy will he choose? Will he choose something really aggressive, or will he take it to a longer game? Okay, I was going to say, is it the King's Pawn opening, which he's been going towards lately a lot? Nope, it's 1d4. And Ivanchuk, he plays every opening under the sun, every opening known to man. What are we going to see in his final game of the tournament?
I predict the knight is going to move out. And, oh, no, I got that wrong. Oh, look at this. It's a London system. And, well, you guys aren't Londoners, are you, at all?
Yeah.
I lived in London for a while, but not born there, no.
Yeah. I was born in London.
Oh, I wasn't born there, no. I thought you meant, do you play the London system? So
Play the Jovanka London system.
I do, and the London system.
London, yeah.
And I lived in London for a while, so yeah, near Croydon. Yeah.
What was the road name? No, I'm joking. That's enough about the London city. It's all
I got
about
curious
the London
about the
opening.
road name now.
I can't even remember. I do remember, but yeah, it's...
No, but back to the London system, the London opening. OK, we see a quick pawn exchange. It's funny, I was actually playing a blitz game yesterday just to warm up before the show, and I think I had this exact position on the board from the white side, and I had no idea what to do.
Where?
Ended up in a draw. OK, white's pawn now. White's C pawn, I was going to say, is likely to push forward. What do you think of this approach, Simon, as a London system player?
Well, it's not normal, because the pawn that Lev basically exchanged is normally your main pawn, which you keep in the London system. So he's playing it in a bit of a unique way. But this push that he's done with that pawn, the C pawn, brings it back into pretty normal territory. And he's just going for a small advantage, small positional advantage here. If he can exchange pawns, he might give himself what we call an isolated pawn that he can play against. So a bit of a unique approach anyway, this in the London system. Yeah. Not your normal club players approach, really.
No, I mean, I have to say I was once told that, you know, if black develops a dark square bishop and you capture the pawn, as what's happened in the game, and white does have a slightly bigger edge than you think it does. You know, you would think that, OK, well, black has got no problems. But there are some problems, and it's mainly based on this light square bishop that black has. It just doesn't have a good diagonal at the minute. And white will just develop normally and then put the rooks towards the centre. No, I say that, and he captures the pawn in the middle. But OK, but this is another small advantage that white has. And now white will just start using the strategies that you use when you face against... You face this pawn, and that is, first of all, you develop, and then you start controlling the square in front.
Mm-hmm. He continues developing Aronian, and I'm assuming Ivanchuk will castle his king, get that piece to safety. Yeah, it's always hard to say how much of an advantage there is for white in these types of scenarios. OK, he brings his bishop out. That hints at the desire to want to change the pawn structure, actually. Levon Aronian. Maybe he'll capture this knight with his bishop at some point. He's flexing there, typical Levon Aronian. When he likes his position, he tends to stretch. Black's bishop coming out. The one kind of negative for me in this game so far is that Ivanchuk, it's going to be very hard to win for him. It feels like black is trying to equalise, and this means that we're unlikely to see him have any chance to qualify for those knockouts. He's playing great chess. I mean, very solid, very correct opening, but unless Levon kind of provokes him somehow, takes too many risks, it's going to be hard for black to win this game. And, OK, will white castle his king finally? Will he move his queen? Will he nudge that bishop that's just developed? It's all about that isolated queen's pawn for black. At the moment, it looks pretty good. It looks like a space gainer rather than a weakness.
Yeah, I suspect that probably he'll just castle. You know, the black pawn in the middle is not threatening to come forward at any time. So follow the rules of chess, the classical rules, that is, and just castle the king, get it out of danger.
Yeah. Are you impressed by the speed with which both players are currently playing? Because, I mean, the last few games, at least, both of these players, they've played incredibly quick. Normally that goes the other way as the tournament goes on.
No, I'm not impressed by the speed. I think it's a dangerous thing. Mm-hmm. Yes, you know, it can put pressure on your opponent, but as you say, things can go wrong. And, well, he attacks the bishop, takes a step back, now castles. Yay.
I'm a bit surprised where white's put his light square bishop, though. This is the one thing that surprised me. I mean, it looks a little bit strange, that light square bishop. I mean, black's got a very nice pin, what we call a pin, with his bishop against white's knight, tying down that knight. And that's really annoying for white, because white would like to move that knight, and you don't want to be tied down. And it seems to me that the ideal square for a light square bishop is to block that pin, so moving it even back here would probably be the move I'd play, because I just want to swap pieces off. I want to control the square in front of my opponent's isolated pawn. We say that pawn in the middle, black's pawn in the middle, is isolated because, again, it's a bit like we talked about pawny no mates earlier. Okay. The pawn which has no other pawns next to it which can help it out, and that pawn can never be defended by another pawn, so it's a weakness. and the square in front of that pawn is the very big weakness, which I think Spassky, again, I've said this before, but Spassky said it's not the pawn, it's the square in front of it. So this kind of plan is very normal. You try to exchange pieces, put a piece in front of that pawn, and later on you try to win that pawn. So that's just what surprises me about this position, where the light square bishop is for Aronian at the moment.
Seems an unusual way of stopping that pawn from advancing. Yeah, I just said, Simon, just to go back, didn't you call the pawn Dilly No Mates?
I think there was a D pawn we called Dilly, yeah. In one of the other shows, we called it D. The D pawn we gave the name Dilly, didn't we? Yeah. Dilly No Mates. I think it was Dilly No Mates, yeah. So.
And, OK, black slides the rook across. Well, now maybe there are some ideas that black's pieces are going to get active. And I'm kind of agreeing with you there, Simon, that bishop is on the wrong diagonal and it's on the wrong square.
Well, maybe the only idea I can see about putting the bishop there is to take the knight. I mean, that's the only kind of logical continuation, and then try to go for another weak pawn, because at the moment we've only talking about the pawn in front of black's queen, but maybe you can create another weak pawn, maybe you can take the knight. I mean, David, you played a lot of these positions. Yeah. I mean, how would you play this as white? I mean...
Yeah, I've played against and with the isolated queen's pawn. I grew up kind of for the first 15, 16 years of my life, I was playing with this pawn in a lot of my openings, especially with the white side. And then in later years, I liked playing against it. So yeah, you're right, Simon. It's always a question, do you just kind of blockade this pawn? Do you play against it long term, or do you change the structure? And in later years, I quite like playing against this this structure, and he actually goes for it. I guess the idea will be, as you say, to attack this pawn first of all, and once it's defended, to try and occupy the square in front of it, just like you did with the other isolated pawn. This is slightly different. Black still has one isolated pawn over here. But, OK, we see this on the board. Black has one isolated pawn, but these types of... They're not quite hanging pawns. They will be called hanging pawns, for example, if they ever advance. We call these hanging pawns because they're both kind of hanging there, not defending each other. But the alternative structure here, if you can blockade... For example, the dream would be... OK, I'm going to help white here slightly, but the dream would be to, for example, occupy the squares in front of them and blockade them both, and then these two pawns are eternal weaknesses. These two knights are just immovable objects. This is the dream, but I don't know what Levon Aronian has in mind in the current position if we go back. How is he going to stop the pawn advancing? He offers a queen trade. Yeah, very logical, actually. In an endgame, whose pawns are going to be weaker? It's probably black's. Easy plan to double up and attack the base of the pawn chain. Yeah, I mean, from my experience, it's not necessarily great. It's not necessarily a big advantage, but I don't think you're ever risking anything with white in these positions. And I'm not sure whether Jovanka will go for the queen trade. If he doesn't, then he's going to have to put his queen in a very passive square. So yeah, it's looking quite good for Aronian right now. There is also a threat of taking this pawn. Jovanka first gets rid of his bishop. That bishop was in danger of just being a bystander and not really helping out. Now we see a trade of queens, and black's knight leaping into the center, hitting this rook. Whoops. Oh, my arrows today a bit off. It's hitting this rook. And this rook has a question to answer. Do you go across to target another weak isolated pawn, or do you just take a step back and double up with your other rook when the opportunity arises? He does go after the weak pawn. That's very ambitious by Aronian. Yeah, what do you guys think? How would you estimate white's winning chances?
I mean, it looks like he's doing all the right things. I mean, as long as black's pawns don't move forwards, they're always going to be a bit weak, and white can attack those pawns with his rooks and his knight coming into the centre. So I'd want to try to blockade those pawns and gradually build up against them if I was white here. So maybe I can move my B pawn forwards or move my rook over, something like that. But I think if black can move the pawn, you know, the backwards pawn forwards, then he should be OK. So he has moved there. He has tried to stop that pawn from moving. And it's just black's pawns are a little bit weaker than white's pawns. And that means in the long run, white has this advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one thing, there is one consequence of pushing your pawn to that square, and that is, and this is this move, that the knight jumps back and is ready to spring forward to the c4 square, which means that you must always, that knight, the white knight, must be within guarding distance of that square. So I'm guessing that he's going to, I was going to say step back, but no, I like this idea much more. Step forward and target the weakness.
Yep, this is the weakness, and Black's knight jump, attacking the rook, attacking the pawn, I guess will be met with a simple move by the white rook. And again, pressure on this guy. 2 pieces attacking it now. If you march forward, the problem is you are overloaded. This black rook is tied down defending this pawn and this pawn. And after an exchange, white would win a pawn. This guy, the A pawn, might decide the game. So right now, yeah, it feels like Aronian's putting the pressure on. Ivanchuk has to be really accurate to defend, but he doesn't pause. He moves his rook across. So something similar might happen. For example, white might step his rook forward first or bring this one into the game. And it's all about the pressure on these 2 pawns right now.
It looks really nice, though, to have 2 rooks behind a pawn in an open line. Could that pawn become a star for Ivanchuk?
It could, but at the moment it's not an open line, and here we see that this pawn is prevented from moving. The square in front is guarded 3 times by white's pawns and pieces. It's only protected twice by black's rooks. So these rooks could become very, very good if this pawn suddenly disappears. But at the moment, they're just passive. They're stuck defending.
So actually wants the pawn off the board.
Yeah, you want to trade it off. You don't want to lose it for free. But yeah, if you can somehow trade off these 2 now, then black should be okay.
So the plan is not to have that pawn march up to become a queen?
Ideally, yes. But its path is blocked, unfortunately. This potential queen, yeah, it's miles away from coronation at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised to see Levon Aronian kind of centralize his king, just as Ivanchuk is doing, or maybe start attacking the pawn now. Can you win this pawn even?
Oh, it looks really...
It looks good, doesn't it? It looks like you can go for it.
Well, you have to put the knight maybe in the way, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, but it just looks like black's under a lot of pressure here at the moment. And this is... Oh, it's a very interesting idea here by Lev, right?
But I'm not sure about it, because he's not planning on taking the pawn, because then he would be doing black's hard work job for him, you know?
He might be planning on taking it. I'm not sure. I mean, for example, if black waits, what is white's plan? Is the idea just to trade off and then just start pushing and just trying to make use of this kind of 2 versus 1 majority? Maybe this 2 versus 1 is going to be the potential winner for white. Yes, black's traded off 1 weakness, but he's still got 2 isolated pawns. It's more than before. Yeah, it's a really interesting decision now ahead of Levon Aronian. Does he trade off and try to make use of his pawn advantage? We should mention black couldn't take this pawn on the last move because the black knight would have been loose and would have been captured. So Aronian, in the moment, he has to take, or he has to wait.
I don't know. I'm just not a fan of this move by Levon. I just think that those 2 rooks were kind of blocked in by their own pawn. And yeah, if you take it and you do manage to win a pawn, then the black rooks are now free and they're able to generate counterplay.
Yeah, I guess he felt he had to do something, Aronian. Maybe he just didn't see any other way to make progress. I'm the same as you. I would have probably waited, manoeuvred a bit, but maybe the moment would have passed in that case. Maybe Levon thinking that this is his best practical try, at least. Ivanchuk looks super calm. I would be a bit stressed if I were black, I must admit.
Yeah. It's strange though, when you do have an advantage, you don't really need to change the pawn structure, as you kind of taught me. You might as well play around forever. I mean, I was thinking this move to try and push the pawns forwards and the neighbour of it going 1 square forwards as well. But it does seem strange to change the nature of the position when you have an advantage and you haven't done everything else possible first. So I'm kind of with you guys. It's a bit of a weird decision, but this has a clear idea now, and he wants to move the other pawn forwards 1 square, getting a very nice majority in sort of the king side, middle of the board. So
the white king also has a clear path towards the centre now, which is nice. A nice bonus. It's very hard for Ivanchuk to even find a move, to be honest. Black's knight is stuck, kind of plugging the c-file. Black rooks are stuck defending a pawn. Black's king can't really go anywhere. Yeah, actually, the more I look at it, the more I quite like it. Ivanchuk, meanwhile, talking to himself, calculating maybe. Just trying to come up with some inspiration.
Kind of feels like his position is a bit too passive, really, and he needs to try and get some activity. I mean, it's so hard to defend passively, and he is now going for something. So he's doing what Kaja said, actually, trying to use those rooks, trying to push the pawn. So hope he's not tuning into our commentary.
No, but I think this is a good decision. Otherwise, he was just going to get suffocated. Now, I mean, the first thing is that white does have the opportunity to win a pawn.
Yeah. So let's jump in. Can white win a pawn right now? There's this nice box of pawns and pieces, and something has to be done about them. So which pawn do you want to capture, Jovanka? I guess it's this one, because the white knight is attacked.
Yeah, you have to take that one, and then obviously rook takes pawn. But yeah, I kind of forgot that the pawn on e4 was also hanging. So you need to take decision there first. So
there's no time to go and capture this pawn, because white's central pawn would suddenly fall. Yeah, I guess that's what's changed in the last couple of moves. Black's rook suddenly defends the knight, so this pawn is free to move. And here white has to decide, do you take this pawn? And I think black can safely retake. It feels a bit awkward, this pin, but it looks like you're okay for now. The option for white is to step forward. I guess this was what Aronian was planning with his previous pawn push. These two pawns look good. Might be able to step forward a bit later as well. Still a weakness here. But black has got rid of one pawn. And, OK, even if you have to take a time out to defend this guy now, at least you're more active than you were. Yeah, I like it too for Ivanchuk. Feels like he's found a way to alleviate the pressure. And, yeah, current position, Aronian, big decision to make.
Definitely must win for Ivanchuk, and probably a must win for Levon as well in this final game in the preliminaries. The scenarios are many for who will qualify it, and especially around that crucial 8th place. So Giri probably also must win for him. The bar is over to his side in his game against Arjun Erigaisi. Wojtaszek, he is around that crucial 8th place as well, bar all the way over to his side. So that is dramatic for both Levon and Anish on the same score as... no, sorry, Wojtaszek is on 16. So he can end up on 19. Probably not enough for him. Christopher Yu, it's not looking too good for him against Liam Le. Christopher also then on 18 points. And Navarra is also fighting. He is currently the player in 8th place, bar roughly to the middle, maybe slightly over to his side, against Gelfand and then Niemann. Looks like he is winning against Jan-Krzysztof Duda. Niemann, he is qualified for the knockout stage, but Duda not 100% safe. This could be dramatic for him. Could Duda be knocked out by then maybe 2 of the players on 18 points? Prague looks like he is winning his game against Ivan Saric, so Prague looks safe to qualify, but it's impossible to say right now who will probably take the 2 final spots in the knockouts then.
Yeah, it looks likely that between 7th and 11th place, those 5 players, 2 of them will qualify. So it's 2 from 5.
Wow.
It could be anyone. I'm looking at the games right now, and it's hard to call. Duda is losing, but still fighting. So he has some chance to save himself. But for the others, it's must win, simply. Aronian knows it's must win. Navarra, Christopher Yu, Anish.
So close. I mean, it could come down to some tie breaks as well, possibly. Yeah. And I think the tie breaks is on individual scores, first of all, between the players. But
head-to-head,
Head-to-head for the players on the same score. Then it's number of wins, and then it's something crazy for the computer to calculate.
I mean, tie breaks are always so complicated, aren't they? There's always issues with whatever tie break you decide. So,
I mean, if Duda draws and everyone on 18 wins, we could see 5 players on the same score.
Oh, whoa, yeah.
And then, I mean, imagine the head-to-head trying to work out who scored more against which player. We need our calculators. We need our stats men.
Yeah.
Is there still a chance of a Niemann versus Magnus final? Is there? Probably not. I don't think so.
Not a quarter-final. It doesn't look like it. But it's not very unlikely that they will be on the same side of the brackets and potentially face off in the semi-final.
OK.
Yeah. If Niemann is 4th or 5th in the preliminaries, they will be on the same side of the brackets.
But if Niemann wins, could he leap up to 3rd even?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, could
we see a Niemann-Carlsen final?
That's what final. That's what I was kind of thinking. Yeah.
That would be.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Full of drama, I'm sure.
Yeah. And talking about drama, Kaja, have you ever thought about announcing like who's qualified, as in like the X Factor? You know how they used to line them up and they used to step forward. You're safe.
Oh,
you can go
that's brutal, yeah.
And then you can see the chess players who really wants it.
Problem is they're much smarter than me, so they would have already calculated who's through.
Yeah.
Like a big reveal to the audience.
Yeah.
You are the weakest link.
But maybe
Goodbye.
if they didn't know the tiebreak.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, which one was going to be the deciding one. That wasn't announced, and then...
Or how about we do it like in America's Got Talent and we all have our ex and we can say, you're out. Oh, but then we could have a golden ticket. Like if we really wanted, like Ivanchuk, for example.
Yeah.
I want him in the final.
He plays this fantastic
once
game.
every season you could give
Press the
someone a golden ticket to a final.
But you'd have to knock someone out. It'd be a bit unfair, wouldn't it? It'd be like, yeah, sorry, Magnus, not this time. So, yeah.
Meanwhile, the game has changed slightly, and Ivanchuk, his chances are minimal now, but he might play spoiler for Levon Aronian because he's given up a pawn, Ivanchuk, but he's gone active. And look at this black pawn now, marching forward. White's rook tied down, stopping its advance. And yeah, it's just looking very difficult. Suddenly the white knight is very, very passive. That white pawn on the edge of the board, the white A pawn, ready for picking off at some point. The black rook can go for it. I think Ivanchuk's active enough. This is great endgame technique from such an experienced endgame player. He's just going active. He gave away a pawn. He didn't want to sit there and negatively defend. Now all his pieces are perfectly placed, Ivanchuk.
Interesting game. One game has finished. Adiban Wojtacek, a draw. Both of them knocked out of the Julius Baer Generation Cup. But most of the other players in here fighting to qualify. Most of the games have players fighting for 2 final spots in the knockout stage.
Yeah, it's looking like Aronian. He is one of those players, but he's going to need a helping hand. He's going to have to hope that other results go in his favour. Because the more I look at it, the more I think Ivanchuk's just what a setup he's found with his knight, rook and pawn. Maybe we can jump in just to explain why White, being a pawn up, this extra pawn, is maybe not winning right now. I just can't see a move, actually, for White, any productive move. This rook needs to stay behind the pawn to stop it advancing. If the rook moves away, for example, there might be trouble. This pawn could advance and counterattack against the white knight. This looks very scary. So if you can't move that piece, you don't really want to move this knight. Maybe you could make an argument for moving it away and then recentralizing it later. What about the king coming forward? What would black do here?
Seems the most logical with the king coming forwards. If you can try to bring it towards the centre, possibly. I think the other problem for Aronian is, if you get some pieces, pawns exchange, you get to a drawn rook ending. So maybe now, with this last move, he's like, right, OK, I need to get my knight into a position to create threats against black's king. And that does seem logical, but it's allowed black to move this knight, and black's pawn in the middle of the board is ready to roll with the knight now defending it. So, but OK, I mean, Aronian had to take risks, and he has to be careful here.
Yeah, definitely. I love what Ivanchuk did, because Levon actually had a serious threat of putting the knight into the centre. Now that's not possible. It's been stopped, and still there's no way for White to really come forward.
Yeah, I mean, if this pawn steps down, suddenly this pawn is up for grabs later, so you can't really move the king. If you move the king, this pawn falls with check, and black is in time to save his rook and his knight by going back. So it looks like black is better, if anything, here because of this very, very strong protected pass pawn. So I'm assuming Ivanchuk will go for this. You could make an argument maybe for the black king coming as well. What else could black try? You don't even need to rush. This pawn looks very... Oh, sorry, my arrows. This pawn looks very safe right now.
I mean, is White threatening to come in with their king? I mean, there is the thing that the black rook can just keep checking, so it's not going to get anywhere ambitious. But if black were feeling like they could play for more...
Yeah, maybe Ivanchuk has some winning chances. What a turnout it would be if Ivanchuk wins this game and qualifies.
Oh, wow.
But
can he still qualify? I mean, what was
everyone else to lose in front of him? Pretty much.
Yeah, it's going to be... I mean, even if he wins, it's very unlikely. We can dream.
Yeah, he can dream. Yeah. He would overtake Aronian.
Yeah.
Maybe a move like this, king move or pawn move. But yeah, if he wins Ivanchuk, he would overtake Aronian. He would need Christopher Yu to lose, Navarra to lose, Anish to lose, and then he's in.
Yeah, well, stranger things have happened. Yeah. I mean, it's just the D pawn is very strong, isn't it? And White's pawns can drop off as well at the wrong moment. There's many tempting moves here, aren't there? I mean, moving the king makes sense. That pawn push, I mean, what's he going to play? He's now, I think, realising he's got some chances here. Pushing Harry, I like it as well.
I like pushing Harry, but I mean, we could kind of mention that White was thinking potentially of introducing the king into the game, but is perhaps the idea of advancing the f-pawn something to think about?
Yeah, advancing the f-pawn. There are some checkmating ideas. For example, if the pawn steps forward, maybe White has time to march forward, just utilising some checkmate ideas. I'm not sure whether it's good or not, but the black king is
my plan.
in some trouble.
We've seen this checkmate work already, haven't we? And in a previous game.
What's this checkmate called?
Backspanker.
It's called back rank mate. But if it were a king, actually, ironically enough, it was the king sitting there on f6. It's actually called box mate. I never knew that one had a name, but it does.
So this was one potential idea for White. What's this checkmate called? Is this also the box mate, for example, if the king is trapped, or is this just a back rank?
Looks like a back rank to me.
Also a back rank checkmate. So Black's king actually in some potential trouble, so Jovanka decided to push his pawn. This pawn will act as a distraction at the very least. If White tries the same, White goes for this plan, pushing forward. Still some question starts, actually, for the Black king. I think this is what Iranian should try, or what he will try, just because these pawns look dangerous. You don't really want to capture and allow White's knight into the dream f5 square.
He hasn't played it.
Doesn't play it. That looked very natural to me, but he dropped back instead.
I mean, it's a bit strange going passive like this with the knight as well, but, I mean, he's keeping Black's pawn under lock and key here. That pawn is now going to struggle to come forward. Surely Black now just brings the king or something like this, but it's still a lot going on here. 3 results. They're all available, as always. And
best play, it should be a draw, but these are 2 humans. It's a rapid game. Plenty of chances for both sides.
And that's dramatic when you look at the bar in Anish Giri's game. It's all the way over to his side. He is one of those 4 players on 18 points. So a win there will put Giri probably, maybe, in the quarterfinals, of course, depending on results in the other game. This one, for example, in the Magnus Carlsen Karmer game, the bar is slightly over to Karmer's side, actually. Is Magnus in trouble there? And actually, before this round, Magnus had a performance rating in the tournament of 29-28, even after losing 15 rating points against Niemann, losing that game.
That's
29-28.
Yeah.
Close to 3,000 in performance rating.
The road to 2,900.
Yeah.
I was just going to share with you a picture because I feel like there's so many things that could happen, that there's so much excitement going on all over the boards, that I kind of like the way that Fat Max is watching the show. He says, not enough tablets for so many fantastic games. They've got them all.
Impressive.
That's just stupid. You can't look at that many games, can you? Or maybe you can.
You can.
Yeah, well, there is a tab, isn't there, on Chess 24 where you can just switch, on one screen as well. So
you can have them all on one screen, right?
Actually, I do like that. Actually, now the more I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, I could be looking at
Exactly. Following this, looking at that. Yeah.
Without moving my arm. And the lazier, the better, right? So, I just have to move my eyes.
Yeah.
Actually, that is good. I've changed my mind.
I once had one computer screen with the chess on, one with the football on, one with the tennis, and then the other one I was doing some work on. But,
And did you manage to work?
No. I think I typed 3 words, and I was like, I'll do it later.
There is a lot to pay attention to right now. Who knows who will qualify? There are plenty of players in contention, especially for 2 spots, because it does look like Jan-Krzysztof Duda is losing to Hans Niemann. So that means 2 spots are up for grabs in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I've taken a look at the Giri game. It looks like he's in control and should win that one.
Okay.
Barring a miracle escape by Erigaisi. So Giri might be in line to take one of those 2 spots. Good for all those Giri fans out there. Yeah,
according to Tai, if both Giri, Niemann and Prag wins, bars all the way over to their side in their games, 93% chance to qualify for Anish. But of course, stuff can happen in the other games as well. In this one, the bar has been over to Ivanchuk's side now. Went down a little bit now, though.
It went over to his side slightly. I guess it's because Black's pawn in the centre was so strong, but now he's offering it up. He's giving his pawn away in order to transition into, as Simon mentioned earlier, a drawn rook and pawn endgame. So if White's knight goes and takes this black pawn, which it doesn't, Aronian playing with fire there. It looks like that pawn could run through. But yeah, if that pawn was captured, we would have seen a trade of knights. Black's rook would have gone and won those white pawns on the right, and it would have ended up as a draw. Aronian shaking his head there.
Yeah, I mean,
Black has got some chances.
And I guess he realises that he has to win this game, and he's like, oh, hang on a minute, I don't actually have any winning chances, you know, if Chucky plays the right moves. And I don't think Chucky's thinking about, you know, this is the thing with Chucky. He's not thinking about winning or drawing or anything. He's just trying to play the best moves. You know, he's just like, you can see he's just a pure person, isn't he? You know, he's just a pure chess player. He just wants to play the best chess, you know. He wouldn't have played the opening he did, I think, otherwise, if he really desperately wanted to win.
And if Giri wins this game, Ivanchuk will be eliminated.
But doesn't Ivanchuk almost have a draw? So I'm thinking the first move to initiate this draw would be to move the king.
Move the black king?
Yeah, move the black king. And the whole idea is that, say that white pushes the pawn. I don't see any way for the white king to approach. So, yeah, then the rook will come down. And once...
the knight?
Yep, and threaten to promote.
Yeah.
And you can't... This is the reason for the king move. You can't really...
capture the pawn?
Yeah, capture the pawn, but maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because suddenly you get pinned in one of two ways, and the white knight would drop. This one, yeah, some winning chances for black. I guess the idea here would be that the white knight defends from this angle. I think this is his plan to cover the promotion square, but it's really hanging by a thread. Instead, Ivanchuk chose a different path. He didn't move his king, which looked very natural. He brought his rook across to try and eliminate this pawn.
Oof.
And, well...
Oh, hang a minute. Is this a blunder? Has Lev just... I think he has. Look at his reaction.
Yeah.
Has he... I mean...
No, I think, well, it should be fine, right?
Should be a draw still, but...
It's an important pawn, though.
Yeah.
Very important pawn. That was the only passed pawn that Lev had. And I don't know. I mean, I can see the bars saying it's in the middle, but why isn't black just a lot better now?
Yeah, we should explain that after rook takes pawn, white's rook now, it looks like it can take the black rook, the black knight, but it's tied down, stopping this pawn promoting. So this is what we call a deflection tactic. If the black rook is captured, black makes a new queen. And it is captured. Wow.
Whoa.
He lets the queen appear on the board, but now Ivanchuk, it feels like he's winning. They're so loose, these pieces.
It feels like he should have a forced win here, even, you know? Is there a forced win? Like, nearly queen c2 is nearly...
Yeah, like,
check, hit the rook, the white king has to defend its rook.
he has to drop a piece.
How?
No, I got a bit enthusiastic there.
Yeah, right now it's hanging by a thread. Okay,
here we go.
Wow, look at this. Stockfish says there's only one winning move, and it does start with the most natural move. Simon mentioned it, this check, hitting the white king and hitting the rook. So you can force the white king to come forward to defend its rook. I wonder what's next, because the first move is obvious, but he needs the follow-up. I'm struggling to see it. It looks like you can give a check hitting all the white pieces, but the white knight leaps to the defense, blocks. Is the idea that you go this way? Ugh, this is hard. This is extremely hard. You hit the knight, and this knight can't be defended. If the knight moves, then you go into the corner, and you use this angle, and you win the white knight after it blocks. I don't know if he's going to see this. This check, next move you win the white knight. This is what the computer thinks, but human point of view, incredibly tough.
Yeah, because if you don't spot this tactic, then it should be a draw.
Should be a draw.
Because all the pawns are on the same side. And we had this ending yesterday, if you're watching the commentary, and that was a draw with Chucky defending against Magnus Carlsen with the rook and knight versus queen. And the way you're supposed to draw this, you've got to keep your rook, your king, and your knight all defending each other, all keep them close to each other. So if white can get that set up, there should be no way black can get through. But David's pointed out quite an amazing line there, where white's pieces are just a little bit discombobulated and they can't defend each other.
And take a look at Chucky. He's in Chucky mode.
He is a genius. He's capable of finding this.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not sure I would find it even with 15, 20 minutes on the clock, let alone Chucky's 3 minutes.
I wonder how this changes things if Chucky wins. I mean, can he still qualify? Someone say yes?
Yes, but no one on 18 points can win, and of course it looks very good for Anish Giri on 18 points to win. So if any of those wins, a win will not be enough for Ivanchuk. But of course, we know anything can happen in chess.
Miracles have happened on the tour before. Chucky, this is why as well he's such a great player. He always pauses at the critical moments, and he sensed it. That deflection tactic was nice. I'm surprised Aronian went for this so quickly. He still had plenty of time. But
that Queen C2 and then the line you just showed, David.
Second move is the hardest one.
Incredibly hard to see because, and again, the only way you'd see this move is by doing that tactic I mentioned time and time again. What is my opponent going to play next? If you're only thinking about your own moves and trying to force the situation, then you'll never see this way of playing. And one key thing to become a better player is just, you know, get in that habit. What's my opponent going to play next? What move can he possibly play in? I think it might be worth showing that again, David, don't you? Because it's that second move, which is a really hard move, but what a beautiful move. It's like a study, actually.
It's the geometry, right? It's a check, it's a double attack. You force your opponent's move, so the first one's obvious. But here, it's process of elimination as well from Chucky. You see that this check is back where you came from, doesn't help. Oh, he doesn't find it. This check would have been blocked, but this was the winning move to bring the queen to this square, hitting the white knight. The white rook is still under supervision as well, so the white knight has to move, and no matter where you put it, there will be a disaster. Here, the queen can come into the corner, and at least you win some pawns.
I think you could win the knight there as well, David. With, you're right. All these lines are just very good, aren't they? So, yeah.
You win the knight, you're right, Simon, even stronger. You win the knight this way. If the knight goes the other direction, you check first with a skewer, the knight moves, and then you win it on the next move with a check. This would have been winning if we go back to the game situation. He didn't find it. It was very tough, very difficult in that position, so we can forgive him with 3 minutes on his clock.
And
but, now it should be a draw.
Look at that, the bar all the way over to Christopher Yu's side now in his game against Liam Le. He is also a player on 18 points. So if both him and Anish wins their games, we have to check head-to-head scores between those two.
So hard to work out, isn't it, what's happening?
It was a win for Christopher Yu.
OK, so that would put the 15-year-old through. Wow.
Yeah, and Duda now will be regretting not playing a more solid game because both Christopher Yu and Giri are going to leapfrog him.
Aha.
Oh, I mean, nobody expected that. We thought Duda was almost safe. Meanwhile, back at this game, it should be a draw, but suddenly White's got a pawn racing up the board. Could we see another turnaround? White's pawn suddenly dangerous. Ivanchuk down to 2 minutes. I don't think he's aware that he missed a win. It was incredibly tough to find, but he's got to recompose himself now and somehow stop this white pawn.
Do you think Aronian saw the win? It'd be interesting. No, it was really hard. I mean, it kind of was a very hidden win, and I mean, David saw it. But I mean, maybe
a computer nudge to find it. If I didn't see the evaluation bar, I would have probably played the same move as.
But who would have thought? I mean, that is actually. I'm going to remember that one and show it if I ever do any lectures, because it's one of those ones where it's just a little move which doesn't seem to do anything. The only way you can find it, what is my opponent going to play next? And it's a really nice little move, that one.
It's like stretching the opponent's army. It's like your opponent's defences are like this, and then you push him over. Yeah.
But you do it in a way by stepping away, which is lovely. So you're stretching your opponent, not by coming in, but by stepping away, which is kind of like, you know, it's a very beautiful, aesthetically pleasing way of doing things.
Yeah, it's almost unique. I've never seen that before, I must admit.
Very nice.
Yeah. And one of the players on 18 points have finished with a draw. David Navarra, a draw against Gelfand. So 19 points, currently in 8th place, but it looks very likely that either Christopher Yu or Anish Giri will win, maybe both of them. So 19 points should not be enough for David Navarra.
Yeah, and the tour before, we've seen 21 is usually the golden number. Occasionally, you even need 22, but this tournament is going to be 21, and you guarantee almost.
And what about Prague? I mean, I've kind of lost track of the scores a little bit. Can Prague qualify? Is he qualified? I mean,
he's qualified already.
He's qualified already.
He has 20 points.
He's
not safe yet, but
he needs to score in this game.
Right. Okay.
If he gets a draw, then probably qualified. We can have several players on 21 points, but I mean, the bar very much over to his side in that game.
Yeah, but if Prague loses, he might be out.
Yeah, so much time for Ivanchuk.
1 second.
Okay, he made a move with
2 seconds left, but things are turning again. Suddenly, this black king is a blockader for this white pawn, but he's running out of moves now, Ivanchuk. This knight move is really hinting at the fact that white wants to get his knight. If that knight can give one check, it's game over. The black king is not happy where it stands, but Okay, Ivanchuk here. He can probably just force a draw by giving a check with his queen, bringing it back to the center, hitting the white king. White's king, rook, and knight. It's like you said earlier, Simon, they protect each other now. So it's safe. And whoa, what a move by Aronian. What a trick.
And he's just saying, take the rook, because the knight is going to get jumped to the d6 square and fork everything. And now it just looks like it's winning for white.
What happened? Excuse me?
Control, Chucky. We have to show this in action replay, just backtracking a couple of moves. A check, the white king moved, another check, and I thought this was the draw. I thought the white king had to stay protecting its rook, but Aronian said, no, I can abandon that rook. If queen takes rook, a knight check, and white will win the queen on the next move. And that meant that black had to go back and pin the white knight, and suddenly this is a key idea. The white knight is pinned right now, so black can safely stay on this line, but all he needs is one check.
So if you just got to find the right square for the king.
Look at the bar,
yeah.
plus 10. As long as the white king moves to safety.
Somewhere the white king can step out of the pin. You just need to be able to move the knight. So which way do you go with the king? This is what Lev is trying to work out now. He's got loads of time.
Where do you go with the king?
My instinct is to go to the middle, right up the board.
This one?
Yeah, that's just my instinct.
I like it. And he's
big threat.
There's only one check here as well, and that's the only check that it's been played, and he's found it. I think this is the winning idea.
Win. This knight check is going to dislodge the black king. White is going to make a new queen. Game over. Ivanchuk shakes his head.
Yeah. Oh. Poor Chucky.
In hands now, and he does click that resign button. Game over.
It is over. Levon Aronian is now on 21 points. First of all, can we give a round of applause for Ivanchuk? Wow, it's been so entertaining to have him in this tournament. A legend in chess at 53 years old. He's had some fun with these youngsters, and he's played some fantastically entertaining chess. With a loss here, he is knocked out of the tournament, but hopefully we get to see him again in the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour, because he is one heck of a player. Levon Aronian, he is now on 21 points, and that could very well be enough to qualify. We will try to get a hold of Levon right away to hear from him. Okay, we are joined by Levon. Congratulations on a win against the legend, Ivanchuk. Can you hear us, Levon?
Yes, yes.
Hi, congratulations on a win against Ivanchuk. What a player he is.
Oh yeah, I got really lucky.
Well, it was a great game, Levon, and now you are on 21 points. A lot of drama happening right now. How do you see your chances to go through to quarterfinals?
Well, I think Gary is winning, and Christopher Yu is winning. So I don't know how this.
Yep, you're right. Looks like both of them are winning, and also looks like Duda is losing. So 2 players on 21 points will probably make it through. We need to do some calculation, but...
I think you should be through, Levon. You did beat Anish in a very important game in the head-to-head, and you drew with Christopher Yu. So it might be you and Christopher, I think, because Christopher also beating Anish.
But I mean, to win from this position, of course, you have to be incredibly lucky, which I told you there was a need for a real miracle.
Did you spot, Levon, that there was a miraculous win for Black after he had promoted? Incredibly difficult, though.
There was?
Yeah, it was a difficult one. We needed the nudge from the evaluation bar, but it was to give check with Queen C2, King F3, and Queen B1. But hard to see.
Oh, wow, beautiful. And the horse is gone. Wow. That's...
I love that you call it horse. Nice. Levon, you've said it yourself. It's been a little up and down. You struggled a little bit in the preliminaries, but likely you will go through to the knockout. So what will you do now to shake it up and be in better shape in knockouts?
Well, you know, this is one of those things. If you survive something like this, then most likely you will live very long.
Exactly.
That's always the case with me. So I will try to put up, better moves and, just not get nervous like I did yesterday. I think a lot of people misunderstood what I meant, with that I was playing strange, my opponent was playing strange moves and I was getting nervous. Or what I meant by that, I just wanted to clarify my yesterday's talk. What I meant for that if somebody is known to have a history of some wrong behavior, even if he's not doing anything wrong, you tend to overthink it. And you tend to just get out of the shape. And so that's what happened with me yesterday.
Levon, I can see now on the scoreboard you are in 7th place here. We now see that also Christopher Yu has won his game. Anish Giri has won his game. 3 players on 21 points. If it is 7th place for you, it looks like you're going to face Arjun Erigaisi in the quarterfinals. What will that be like?
I love playing against Arjun, so I look forward to that.
Fantastic. We look forward to seeing you in the knockouts, Levon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, guys.
And we're also joined by Anish Giri, coming from a great win here in round 15. Congratulations, Anish.
Thanks. But it looks like I'm not making it, actually.
Well,
I mean, yeah, don't sugarcoat it. I'm not making it.
Unless Duda can pull a miracle,
yeah, but I mean, I didn't see the position, but I saw it's plus 13 or something. What's the position? Let me see the position.
Duda has just resigned. I think that confirms it.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it's dead position.
Yeah, because it looks like Prague,
oh, wow,
of course.
This is so unfair.
Is winning. Oh. You're usually lucky in these situations, Anish, aren't you, to get the final spot?
I mean, once probably I was lucky. No, but once I was unlucky as well. I had a must-win, I thought, against Hikaru, and he had a must-draw. And then draw would have given me a spot, and I went all out and burned the bridges. But I mean that, I thought that if I beat Arjun with black, I should deserve qualification, because I was very happy with that win. I mean, he's a very formidable opponent, and I was really happy to win on demand.
Anish, we're sad to see that you're not going to play in the knockouts, probably then. But it's been 4 very dramatic days in chess. A lot of talk. What will the next few days be about for you? Are you going to be on Twitter and follow the whole thing?
No, I mean, it's moving in circles a little bit. There is not much new, and I've never read up anyway too much. I mean, it's not so exciting. Like most of the things you want to read and can read is just a lot of speculation and nonsense. And I'm also like, I've seen all these analyses, of people analyzing stuff with engine, and I mean, been there, done that, took us off it. So no, that's not it. I think I will try to once again find the right balance between working on chess, preparing for my next events, and also trying to find the rest. It's a constant struggle to find that right balance. And now I was a little today was really good, I thought. I mean, compared to previous days, I had 3 very strong opponents, and I managed to win one game and draw the other 2. I think that's a fine result. But I think I missed out on qualification. First of all, yesterday last game I shouldn't have lost because I blundered there twice. And generally, I think the first 2 days my level of play hasn't been. Overall it's been too shaky. Of course, with more luck I would have qualified. Obviously, I mean one result in the end by I don't know Prague or whatever different would have given it for me. But at the same time, I also didn't really. I prefer to qualify, the way like Arjun or Magnus here qualified, like. That you have like with a day to spare. That's a nice qualification, and then you just enjoy your games. But this, like this, it's always up to your competitors.
Absolutely, Anish. As always, we've enjoyed having you in the tournament. You mentioned getting ready for the next events. What is coming up for you?
Well, the next event, I'm going to play a match as part of the Chess Global Championship by a great chess website, chess.com. And
you're allowed to say that now.
We've always loved chess.com, didn't we? Here, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it was always the case, and now we can finally come out and share our passion for the website. Then I will play also a 960 qualifier on the Lichess, which is of course awful. I mean, it's completely awful, and it's almost the only website that hasn't yet been bought, and therefore it's really bad. But I'm looking forward to these events, really strong opponents there and the big challenges. And of course, I'm hoping to play the next Meltwater Champions Tour event where I'll try to qualify, try to do my better.
Anish, thanks again for joining us in this tournament. We hope to see you in the next event as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
All right, so we know that for sure. Anish Giri is knocked out, and we actually now have the facts because now all games have finished, and these are the final standings in the Julius Baer Generations Cup. Magnus Carlsen actually finished with the win, 34 points. That is a record this season in the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour. An incredible score in the preliminaries, and he will face Levon Aronian now, because he ended up in 8th place in the quarterfinals. Wow, that's going to be a great one. Arjun Erigaisi finishes in 2nd, and he's going to play another teenager, Christopher Yu, 15-year-old, the youngest player in the tournament, has made it through to the quarterfinals. What a sensation, Jovanka, the youngest ever on the tour.
I know, it's absolutely incredible, but you know, he fully deserves it. He played such exciting chess, and we saw how he fought Magnus until the bitter end.
And in 3rd place, Hans Niemann to play Liam Le in the quarterfinals. He will be on the other side of the bracket of Magnus Carlsen, and they cannot meet until a final if they both win in quarterfinals and semifinals. Finally, Vincent Keimer and Pragnananda, 2 teenagers, will play each other in the quarterfinals. Wow, what surprises you the most on these final standings, David?
I've got to say it's big favourites like Giri, Duda and Ivanchuk not qualifying. It looked like they were playing great chess, and it just shows how strong everyone else was, how informed some of the younger players were to take those 8 spots. And I think we've got some massive clashes ahead. The quarterfinal tomorrow, Carlsen against Aronian. I mean, it's always a joy to see them play. So some surprises, but a lot to look forward to.
Yeah. We have a bunch of teenagers now in the knockouts. Almost all of them making it through.
I think they all went through.
5 out of 5.
Wow.
What does that tell us, Simon?
They're pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I'm amazed. Well, not amazed, but I feel really happy for Christopher Yu.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone could really expect that with such a strong field. So well done, Christopher. I love an underdog story. And also in the end, well, Magnus let the chess talk, didn't he? By just dominating the whole thing. And, you know, it was nice to see that he did play brilliant chess in the end.
Yeah. We are hoping to get some more reactions from the players. Quarterfinals will start tomorrow with some cool matchups. These are the results from the final round. A bunch of dramatic ones. Anish Giri got 3 points against Arjun Erigaisi to clinch a spot in the knockouts. Not clinch a spot in the knockout wasn't enough because Christopher Yu won his game, and so did Levon Aronian. It was a win for Pragnananda to secure his spot, and Niemann won against Duda to knock Duda out of the tournament. Magnus Carlsen finishing off with another win. Incredible preliminaries by the world #1. Let's take a look at the quarterfinals coming up tomorrow. It's going to be Magnus Carlsen and Levon Aronian, 2 legends in chess, to face each other in the Generation Cup. Pragnananda against Vincent Keimer, 2 teenagers. It's going to be Hans Niemann against Liam Le, and another teenage battle between Erigaisi and Christopher Yu. All right, Magnus, Levon, who do you hold as favourite?
Just on current form, it's got to be Magnus. That being said, Levon Aronian thanked the chess gods. He said luck was on his side, and he has beaten Magnus before, we know.
Yeah. Christopher Yu, the big sensation in the quarterfinals. And we're joined by the young American. Congratulations, Christopher.
Thank you.
Finishing off with the win to clinch your spot. What was that like?
I was definitely very nervous, partially because I knew I had to win, but I also didn't know that even a win would make it, because if Navarra had won his game, I think he would have had better tie breaks than me. So there were a lot of things that were like in the air, and it was very hard to know what to expect, but I just had to focus on my game and trying to play well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And at 15, you are the youngest player to ever make it through to a knockout stage in the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour. What does that mean to you?
I was just happy to get into this tournament. Like, before the tournament, I definitely didn't even expect to get invited, let alone do this well. So I'm just extremely happy. I'm a little bit surprised just by getting into this tournament, and also that I somehow managed to make it to the knockout.
We are so happy for you as well, Christopher. What would you say has been the main reason you have been able to do this against the very top elite in chess?
I kind of feel like I've had nothing to lose, and I've just tried to play with no fear and just try to enjoy the games and get complicated positions. And it's kind of nice to be that guy where nobody really expects anything of you, and you don't have any expectation on yourself either. So you can just play carefree chess.
How cool. And tomorrow, a quarterfinal against Arjun Erigaisi. Both of you teenagers. What's your experience with him?
I think my only experience was the game in this tournament, and that was a little bit rough. He seemed very well prepared in the opening, so I definitely need to watch out for his opening preparation.
Yeah.
In general, getting this far is already quite a big success, so I'm not too worried whether or not I get even farther in the event. I'm just gonna try to have some fun.
Yeah. And, well, it's been a great recipe for you so far, just nothing to lose. And you're playing from the very western part of the US early in the morning. So what is your daily routine in this tournament?
It's kind of lucky that I generally wake up early in the morning anyways, so I actually like to play in the morning rather than later in the day.
Fantastic. And what will you do?
I'm just sticking with my normal routine.
Good plan. And what will you do for the rest of the day now? I guess it's early afternoon for you.
I think I'm gonna play some tennis later.
All right. Nice. Sounds like fun. Well, Christopher, we wish you best of luck in the quarterfinals and huge congratulations on this sensational performance.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Wow, a 15-year-old to play in a knockout in the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour. What chances do you give him, Jovanka, against Erigaisi?
Well, I've been very, very impressed by his play. And I have to say, Erigaisi is also an incredible opponent. But, I think he has some decent chances if he relaxes and just enjoys the game, as he says, because, there is a bright future ahead of Christopher Yu.
Absolutely. If we could take up the quarterfinal matchups once again to take a look at the players that will be up against each other tomorrow. We know Erigaisi and Christopher Yu, two teenagers, Magnus Carlsen and Levon Aronian. I'm also wondering the other teenage matchup, Pragnananda, Vincent Keimer. Who do you hold as favourite in that one? I guess Prag with his experience, but...
Possibly, although Vincent was incredibly impressive in the last few days in these prelims. I should mention they faced each other in the Challengers Tour in the final last season, and Prag ran out the winner there 3-0. So he's a small favourite, you'd have to say, but Vincent, rising star, anything can happen. Yeah, we're destined to see a teenager, guaranteed. A couple of teenagers in the semi-finals, so it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. And then, of course, Hans Niemann makes it through to the knockout stage after a very dramatic preliminaries, and he will face Liam Lepp. But for Magnus Carlsen, it's Levon Aronian, and we're joined by Magnus Carlsen. Hi, Magnus. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So how do you feel after making it through with a record score of 34 in the preliminaries?
Yeah, it was very good. Score was, I think, taking the position and so on into account. It was on par with some of my
best ever rapid round robin events. So wow. that was very good. I feel like the quality of my games perhaps dipped a little bit the last couple today, but overall it was very good.
All right. And you do it even with losing 3 points to Hans Niemann, withdrawing from that game. I think the whole world is wondering, Magnus, what was the reason you withdrew from that game?
Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot particularly speak on that. But you know, people can draw their own conclusion, and they certainly have. And I have to say, I'm very impressed by Niemann's play, and I think his mentor Maxime Dluge must be doing a great job.
Okay. Can you confirm or not confirm that it has to do with suspecting him of cheating?
I will not comment on that.
Okay. It's been a dramatic time for chess, and of course, a special 2 weeks for you as well, also after Sinkfield Cup. How are you doing in all of this?
I'm okay, just, you know, living my life and trying to do well in the tournament. I mean, people who know me and followed, for instance, the tournament in Zagreb in 2019 know that I can sort of shut things out when I play. So that's.
Mm-hmm. And with a performance rating actually now of 29-39 in the preliminaries, how are you able to stay so focused and just play some of your best chess?
Wow, I'm you know, happy to play chess. That usually makes me happy. And as I said, I have a lot of experience, and generally it makes me. But you know, the score in the preliminaries is nice, but now I'm facing a very strong opponent already in the quarters, so it doesn't necessarily mean anything at this point.
Uh-huh. And Magnus, you mentioned a name there. I think maybe a trainer of Hans Niemann, that he's doing a good job. Could you say some more about that? Is that because you think he's helping Hans in the games?
No, I will not say anything more about that subject.
Will you at some point make a comment on all the fuss that is going on?
Yeah, I hope to say a little bit more after the tournaments.
Mm-hmm. So I'll ask you very in general, Magnus, because the whole world, the whole chess world, the whole world actually is talking about cheating these days. Is, in general, cheating a problem in chess, do you think?
I think individual people will answer the question pretty, you know, differently depending on their own experiences. I mean, regardless of whether it's a massive problem or not, it's I think fairly easy to cheat, and on general, you know, on a general basis, I think that cheaters in the future have to be, you know, it should not be taken lightly, neither online or over the board.
Mm. Do you have sort of something you urge to say to young players playing online who maybe are tempted to cheat, to maybe get higher rating or for whatever reason?
Yeah, I understand. It's it's tempting, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
Is organizers, is FIDE, are they doing enough to avoid cheating and to punish if there is a suspicion of cheating?
It's hard to say, really.
Would you like to see some more action be taken in terms of cheating?
Yeah, as I said, I'll comment. I'll probably say a bit more after the tournament, and whether it's on that particular subject or something else, we'll just have to see.
All right, I'll leave it with that. Finally, Magnus, you played Levon in the quarterfinals, and you've had the chance also to play Gelfand, Ivanchuk here in the preliminaries. How have you enjoyed playing with these legends?
Obviously, the game against Ivanchuk was a great fight. Should have won at some point, but then he defended very well afterwards. Wouldn't quite put Levon in the same category.
He's turning 40 next month, actually.
Yeah, I know. It's surprising that he and Peter Leko, who started a lot earlier, they're actually just 3 years apart. But Levon came into the elite pretty much at the same time as I did, like 1 year earlier. So I consider him to be sort of the same generation as I am, even though he's technically a bit older. But yeah, in general, he's a super tough opponent. It looked like he didn't have the best tournament here. Then he pulled himself together, and in any one match, he's extremely dangerous.
And we actually have 5 teenagers in the knockout stage. Are we seeing the start of a generation shift in chess?
Oh, it's already. It's not at the start. It's already happening, and I feel like it's already kind of well known that guys like Prague, Arjun, Vincent Keimer, that they are very strong, but now others are coming along as well. So it's certainly exciting to see, and it's motivating for me as well.
Yeah, very cool to hear. Magnus, we really appreciate to hear your thoughts, and best of luck in quarterfinals.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Wow, that was the first time we heard from Magnus Carlsen this tournament. Obviously very interesting to hear his answer on why he didn't play Hans Niemann. What did you think, David?
Yeah, it'll take me a bit of time to draw some conclusions. It's hard to know, really. I mean, I'm looking forward to that statement. He said that will come at a later date. It's the first time we've heard from him actually since the Sinkfield Cup a few weeks ago. So it must have taken a lot of nerve to come forward and speak now. He'd like to focus on the chess, so I'm going to respect that for the next few days. But yeah, I'm sure there's more developments, more to be heard.
Yeah, he did make that one comment on, and I didn't really catch the name, but someone doing a good job helping Niemann. What did you make of that, Simon?
Yeah, again, I don't want to read too much into it. I mean, he did mention that he's going to probably say something at the end of the tournament, which feels correct. Would like to say you're pretty brave. I was like, I'm thinking I'm just going to go under here for a minute while you do that. So well done. But I think, yeah, let him concentrate on the chess. He's playing fantastic, and we all love watching him play great chess. And everything will come out in time, whatever it is. You know, everything will clarify, whatever the situation. So let's just wait and see, shall we? Yeah.
Jovanka, your thoughts after hearing from Magnus now?
I think the guy summed it up pretty well there. Just let's respect the fact that they're playing in a tournament, and Magnus has promised a statement, so we can look forward to that.
Yeah. And with a performance rating well above 2,900 in the tournament and a record score of 34 points in the preliminaries, well, Magnus Carlsen is still playing the best chess in the world, even with the drama going on. And tomorrow he plays Levon Aronian in the quarterfinals. That should be a good one. So join us again tomorrow. 5:45 CET is when we start. Hope to see you then. Bye.